While the clash of advanced primordial aura in the sky only becomes more intense, my perception of the rest of the purple zone becomes more clear. The spread of links of loyalty in the outer settlements keeps speeding up. I can see a perfect ring now around the entire neutral zone. The Demon Run land that connects to the ritual zones is already under my control. From my natural perception now, I can feel the entire central domain. Instead of just around, the domains slowly spread out to the edges of the purple zone, where there are hardly any primordial trees. In the back of my mind, I can see almost the entire zone. My linked worlds still increase quickly, surging past 110 billion. Every new one that connects lights up another dot in the dark expanse of the lower realm. Many of them have little to no life left on them, as they are ancient worlds from billions of years ago. However, there are some that have sprouted new civilizations unrelated to the current owners of their worlds. This brings a constant new surge of data points into the worldwide connectivity system. New spectate POVs are added to the forums, sorted by the admins, and sent out to the teams of fighters handling the demon invasion. There is no longer a lack of power or fighters in the lower realm. There is only a need for more eyes, teleport points, and time. At the same time, a new update rolls through the worldwide connectivity system. All registered planets can now support instant fast travel points for admins, knights, commanders, and generals, even if there isn't a soul left alive in the solar system. This can be overridden by the admins to allow civilian access via a simple application. Alvaron begins rapidly approving high-ranking elites, strong first-class fighters, and exceptional outliers in any world that applies to fight against lingering armored white demons that are not an immediate threat to life. The higher-risk cases are reserved for the inner circle. Before this update, none of them would have ever been on the front lines. However, an extremely dense wave of primordial aura streams in from the upper realm, making any fighter that accepts it able to wield this power. It does not feel natural at all. Everyone that accepts it understands that it is an emergency break in the system, and the Rising Emperor is granting them a portion of his power to fight for their future. Simultaneously, new options start popping up in their natural mana-based system options. Before, there were only a small amount of skill-borrowing options approved by the admins. They included self-regeneration and most of the elemental combat skills. Special cases received some of the more volatile and rare skills. However, no one has seen the borrowed buff sections yet. Reading on Amazon or a pirate site. This novel is from Royal Road. Support the author by reading it there. Instantly, everyone sent out to the front lines has the option to activate their own mana-based greater forms, divine astral forms, and even celestial rank buffs. Unlike skills that directly transfer to their systems, these buffs mutate when borrowed. No one can directly unlock the Rising Emperor's sacred body, nor can they replicate the unlimited growth nature of his astral form. However, a system user can access buffs that are multiple rank-ups away in their own system's future track, allowing monsters from 3rd and 2nd class worlds that have not even leveled up past 1000 yet to unlock celestial bodies. It gives them the temporary framework to wield primordial aura and take out stray ancient imperial demons all over the galaxy. The situation in the green zone is much different. There are far fewer imperial demons, and the 3 generals that have the power to kill them are ruthlessly doing so by the hundreds. Many of the elites that were standing by join in to target the stragglers that try to land cheap shots on the citadels. Zacian and the enormous White Griffin protect the Grand Citadel while Ava takes on the bulk of soldiers in the front lines. Asik and Torvak stand their posts at Ellipsia. Behind Ari and Raven, an army of shadows lurks below it. They are the remains of a demonic army that the High Noble Vermilion Demon who used to own Mensa Citadel left behind. All of them now hold a fraction of the power from Ares' spirit hands, and they are infused with the primordial aura pouring down from the purple zone. They act as the final line of defense, but the invisible swordswoman and the dark archer do not appear to be letting a single demon through. The fortress is completely protected by its own ancient defense system. A few stray ancient mindless demons wander out to it, but they explode into pure ether and demonic essence on contact with the defense barrier around it. The fortress itself has begun to blink with a strange white and silver light, and glyphs start floating to the jet-black surface of all the cube-like structures that make up the floating island of storage in the sky. The reactor below the Grand Citadel blinks at the same exact rate. In the Cyan Zone above, the energy manifestation of tree roots is growing in size, spreading over the outer layer of the ravine's high-quality ether barrier. At first, it was far too strong to fall victim to this celestial grade form that Abby summons from her Dryad's legacy. It would only allow small amounts of high-quality ether residue to flow off of it. This was the only energy source allowing the tree to grow larger. After all, she and Seraphel drained the entire Cyan Zone of its energy after killing Lucian, and the dark blue zone above was cleared out by Jay and Maria on their trip upward before. The only source of power is this ancient array, and the roots crawl all over it, surrounding its edges and trying to find weak spots anywhere they can. This is not an easy feat after all. A royal demon was trapped beneath this array for hundreds of millions of years, and never found a crack. It is a perfect seal. Nothing from this zone can possibly break an artifact created in the purple zone. That is, unless they had power borrowed from the very zone that it was created in. When the primordial aura of the Rising Emperor pours into Abby and Seraphel, both of them receive the most potent stream out of anyone below. They are the closest to the source, and in need of energy the most. The entire massive green tree starts to ripple with rainbow aura, invisible to the eye for those that cannot understand its depth. Every passing second, the aura gets more refined, denser, and more complex. This is because the Rising Emperor's understanding of primordial aura itself is progressing with every passing moment. Waves of budding advanced primordial aura seep into the roots of this tree, and they're reinforced with enough pressure and pure will to begin cracking through the top layers of the ravine's array. The pure white high-quality ether that is released when these glyphs begin to break and spin out of control is millions of times greater than the runoff they were leaking before. Streams of pure white ether flow up the roots of this tree, and the roots squeeze tighter, breaking through more and more layers of the array. Instantly, the leaves and branches breaking through into the blue zone start to grow upward. They are breaking through their growth plateau, up toward the sky again, searching for the top of even this zone. I watch as all of the zones below me light up in perfect clarity, down to their last mana particles. There are only small blind spots in the lower realm, but even they are being closed up as the moments pass. They connect together at the same rate the final domains in the outer settlements swear their loyalty to me. As ancient imperial demons are killed by elites and lower-class world system users, new powerful forces rise from seemingly out of nowhere, gaining tens of thousands of levels from a single kill. Multiple celestial grade fighters earn their own level 100,000 rank-ups naturally, and each one of them that does is capable of holding more primordial aura in their minds and souls. It becomes the strongest in the commanders and generals, as they are the only ones that fought against the real outer guard demons. However, every bit helps. Even those that do not battle the demons directly and only use this shared power to send coordinates, or just use it as processing power for the worldwide connectivity system. This is because the primordial aura refinement is spread out through countless soul ties. It is not just pure mental and soul power that fuels this refinement. I get the life experience and worldviews from an unfathomable amount of life forms. Their perspectives and ways of thinking about the aura that flows through them are all slightly different. Even if it is just a hint of understanding that comes from somewhere I have not considered, the feeling and comprehension are echoed back through the soul ties that tether us together through the zones. These strands of primordial aura are connected through the Rising Emperor's interface, only connecting to the links of loyalty I have. These invisible soul ties morph into the total isolation barrier and are consumed as pure, warm, advanced primordial aura comprehension. It is nowhere near as fast and accurate as my own, and Maria's comprehension rate while looking at the battle that rages on above us. However, it does fill in gaps that we did not even know existed. It makes all of the aura we consolidate firm and stable, with no possible cracks or impurities. Every single possible flaw has been evened out by over 100 quintillion individual minds with unique perspectives. Just give up. What nonsense are you spouting? You believe humans can kill me? An anomaly forged in the purest ether our system has ever produced? The seal will be set any minute now. They do not possibly have the time to use the key. I will keep my aura pouring out at full power and kill them the moment you die, and that artifact protecting them goes with it. Marcellus yells while slashing through Ember's flesh with 2 daggers at the same time. He roars back and badly burns the demon's left arm. However, Marcellus doesn't care at all. Since he realized his healing time is many times faster than Ember's, he has been far more reckless with his attacks. The Imperial family head laughs loudly, almost drowning out Ember's reply. Don't you find it strange how I never arrived back in the primordial garden until you activated the seal? The demon's eyes grow sharp, and Ember grins wider while blocking a flurry of attacks. Stolen from its rightful author, this tale is not meant to be on Amazon. Report any sightings. Every 10 or 20 there is an angle he is too slow to turn, and another chaotic wound is added to his body. Yet, the flashing white lights behind his eyes grow brighter, and Marcellus begins to realize the rhythm is not random. You connected your immortal core to the seal. If I were to break it here, the seal would shatter too. But you would never return. All I would have to do is create another, and the only threat in this system would be eliminated. Why would you be so careless to do such a thing? He replies back in a terrified tone, but it is soon drowned out in his own laughter as he yells again and stabs both blades into Ember's flesh. He takes the full force of his white flames against his face without any care. Flesh is ripped off, and the glyphs on his horns grow more dull as they're burned. But the damage he's causing Ember's internal organs is equal, pouring chaotic aura into his body. The horrific spectate feed from Ember links to my mind in this moment, and I too feel every surge of agony that these orange and blue waves of advanced primordial aura cause. It's instantly bounced through Maria and my shared consciousness in this state, and shatters another mental bottleneck. We process it with ease. All of the inconsistencies are smoothed out by a collective subconscious pouring up from the lower realm. Ember grits his teeth and manages to break away from the deadly collision they were just locked in, and yells back, "You believe it is careless, but I see it as the only chance I had left. There is a new emperor in this system, but I refuse to believe it is the current overseer. It is not feasible for an entity like him to rule. If you have seen the past that I have, you would know this truth too. You are stuck in your delusions of artificial immortality. To truly live, one must be prepared to die." Marcellus has already begun to heal. The parts of his face burned off grow back, and the glyphs on his horns become vibrant again. It only takes another few dozen clashes for him to be as full of vitality as the start of the battle. Ember's advanced primordial aura does not change. His will is solid, serene, and immovable. There are no fluctuations at all. Even his eyes stay sharp and determined, as though he's winning the battle. However, internally, I can feel that his physical body is being torn to shreds. There is something missing, not allowing him to heal entirely. He is not using his full true dragon form, and I'm not sure why. My first thought is that doing so would not give my consciousness enough time to perceive the lower-grade abilities and weaknesses of his current form. My second thought is maybe he can't. Maybe just like the seal on my soul, sword, and system, there is something holding him back from using all of his power. This realization pushes my comprehension even further. I start to rationalize the thoughts that the battle above me is actually not the pinnacle of power in the purple zone. Following this mental track, looking even deeper and higher, instead of trying to comprehend just the energy in front of me, it deepens my comprehension even further. All of the subconscious minds follow suit and begin filling in the gaps like living glue. Instantly, thick auras begin to manifest around the outside of our souls, just below the total isolation barrier. Where our arms and legs touch in the sitting position, the auras fuse, but there is a clear color separation in the center. Mine is dark black and red, with a cool white stream in its center. It flashes with metallic colors and flows with a soothing warm, inviting feeling from one angle, but a violent and all-consuming abyss from another. Maria's is icy cold and looks almost pure white, yet in its flowing ripples, it turns a blinding bright blue. When the blue becomes intense enough, it flickers with a rainbow hue that is so sharp, even looking at it feels like an attack. All of these colors are completely invisible, but also blinding and pouring into the consciousness of anyone that looks its way all at once. They are volatile and changing. This advanced primordial aura is becoming thicker, denser, and evolves more and more every passing moment. The instant it's summoned into physical existence, our progress skyrockets by thousands of times. The primordial aura strength gap is no longer an unfathomable cliff to jump across. By looking at the clash of advanced primordial auras from high above, now I can finally see the path to matching its strength. The budding advanced primordial aura around us rapidly matures. Before, it only showed sparks of this dense output, but it's like the dam holding a reservoir back has finally broken. And now every single bit of primordial aura seeping out of our consciousness is turning into something completely different. My high royal vibrations cannot escape the isolation barrier, but the waves that are still beneath, and now existing within the metallic red and black aura, grow tighter and stronger to become unbreakable. There was a clear difference in their strength when shifting from just royal to high royal in the battles against the Outer Guards and First Bloods. It is what turned these vibrations from frail yarn into what felt similar to steel cables. Now, there is another shift taking place, as the high royal vibrations can finally set into their natural states. Before, they were forced to be confined by only the physical reality around me that I could see, and the primordial aura would follow them like shadows. Now, these unbreakable steel cables can finally bend into a different direction of space. They have become like elastic bands, stretching and bending, and fusing with the primordial aura to embrace its true nature. There is less and less mystery dwelling in my heart and soul about where this energy comes from, and how it interacts with the reality around me. I no longer have to rely on my blind trust intuition. I am gaining full control over my will. The same exact reaction is happening in front of me. As Maria's advanced primordial aura consolidates and becomes denser and more mature, neither of our auras feels as though they are lacking anything at all individually, but the moment we echo their true depth through each other's minds, it's as though two parts of a whole are being connected together. Some of the colors that I saw inside Ember's aura, that I could not name, as they come from a different spectrum of perception, all begin to emerge and bloom in our auras as well. Every new collision that beats down on us from above makes more and more sense. It is not only because the isolation barrier is dissecting the aura and feeding it to us in its broken-down form. I can actually see the ripples in space and comprehend exactly what both Ember and Marcellus have exerted on reality to send out such a potent wave of willpower. It also makes the wounds that build up all over Ember's body so much more egregious. There are hundreds of them, and each chaotic/compounds to consciously attack his soul. The fact that his primordial aura has maintained its serenity is even more impressive, as though he knows exactly how this battle will end and he is not bothered in the slightest. To think I believed you had some kind of supreme wisdom for peering into other systems. Ha! You are just as rash and small-minded as all the other mortals in the lower realm. To gamble with your immortality, on a whim. Marcellus continues to mock Ember, but the dragon's grin only grows. If you discover this tale on Amazon, be aware that it has been unlawfully taken from Royal Road. Please report it. It is no gamble. I have seen the great cycle take course more times than years you have waited for this one to come to a halt. I know when the system is ready, there is no doubt in my mind. Even if my silver core is shattered to break the seal, that is not what is needed for my plan, he replies back slowly. Each word is interrupted by clashes and more chaos-filled wounds. Even my attention from their conversation in the sky wavers. Another few hundred clashes go by, and they yell back and forth more about things I still do not fully grasp. It is of a past that even the memories of the First Bloods I absorbed cannot catch me up on. However, their conversation does not matter much. It is only the energy waves that captivate me. Maria and I both open our eyes wide with understanding once we've bounced our auras off each other's consciousness enough, and have devised a plan. We have to time it perfectly, and we need to build up more primordial aura maturity, but I've never been more sure about anything. This will work. Both of us stand to our feet and shift our stance to brace for impact, as all of the past shockwaves have hit us from above from certain angles. We will certainly be hit by a few, but it would be most efficient to be hit at their weakest points if possible. Next, We begin letting our primordial aura seep into our souls, filling up the millions of glyphs that are lighting up, glowing, and ready to be summoned. Every drop of ether in our pools is being channeled into them, pre-weaving glyphs that stay dormant right below the isolation barrier. The thin film that separates the hot white glyphs in the depths of our souls cannot be penetrated by our primordial auras, but we pour in large amounts to rest on this film, preparing for when we can. I visualize the layers of thousands of dense structures, each carrying hundreds of millions of creators' legacy glyphs, and each one of those glyphs filled with our advanced primordial aura. I cannot use my foresight skill to properly predict what will occur, as I cannot sense everything in my surroundings yet. But I know that all I need is a moment and it will be enough. Every few clashes that go by in the sky, our aura maturity increases, but I also watch Ember take more and more near-fatal wounds. His will doesn't waver one bit, but I have no idea how much longer his physical form will last. So, a mental signal bounces through Maria's and my minds, and I deactivate the total isolation perk in my Rising Emperor's interface. As it's lifted, stacked layers upon layers of defensive glyphs explode out of us, traveling upward into the sky. A shockwave of dense, advanced primordial aura floods downward too, spreading out on the base of the tree. Half of it looks like dark metallic lava, while the other half appears as a sheet of sparkling reflective ice. The clashing of auras in the sky is bent away, as a new epicenter of gravity moves the control of the central domain. I'm unable to focus much at all on the demon or dragon's reactions above. The majority of my aura is saturating these defensive arrays, and the little I have spare is pouring down into the center of my soul. The film in our souls is instantly melted through by the hot white aura from an inheritance key, and all the liquid blockage that was stopping millions more unique glyph imprints from setting as permanent on our souls is evaporated. Instantly they all are infused with red and blue auras, and it feels like a tight squeeze that was forcing me to hold myself back is finally lifted. I can breathe and tap into a full new well of potential. As my mind accepts this new wide-open feeling deep inside, up above, many of our defensive arrays are already shattering. From the pressure in the atmosphere alone, the top layers begin breaking one by one. Then, when new concentrated ripples come off Marcellus and Ember's clash, dozens break at a time, leaving us with fractions of a second left at the rate of this battle. My attention sweeps into my system, and I feel the barriers that repelled my mind from upgrading skills start to fade. Even the limitations on the primordial grade demonic skills and buffs I absorbed, all of them start to naturally adapt to the new pool of awareness that is flooding through me. I scroll through my status and pinpoint the option with the least mental resistance and greatest potential upside. Then press Upgrade on Absorption instantly, spending 1 million PP. The white system text that was saturated with energy when this skill was upgraded to Celestial Grade in the green zone is completely saturated with a new aura. The new Primordial Grade tag appears with a black and red metallic glow, flooding into the Absorption skill right beside it. The aura pulses outward, and every single skill below it is forcefully upgraded, obtaining the Primordial Grade tag and glowing with the same violent yet serene light. It pours into all of the system stats, buffs, and every single field of text that appears in my mind. It becomes less of an external interface that I summon in my mind, and more a part of me. It feels like the interface itself is growing and morphing to become far more versatile, and I even begin to feel the emptiness open up in certain areas I haven't before. It is strange, like there are empty slots where skills should be. When I focus in on these dark, empty holes in the system, I feel soul ties connecting me to ancient planets on the edges of the lower realm with races I've never seen before holding skills that I've never encountered. It is like the system has always had placeholders ready for every single existing skill, but it's always been so rigid and out of my control. Now I can vaguely see the imprints of skills I do not even have. My attention quickly turns away from these holes, and back toward the skills that I can actually use. There is not only advanced primordial aura flowing through them, my glyph imprints begin reacting with every skill I think about too. The mere thought of activating a skill starts to summon millions of patterns in my mind of glyph arrays that can be used alongside them. The poorly constructed defensive arrays to block the aura pouring down on us now are quite funny to me. I use 3 newly upgraded primordial grade skills: Crystal Creation, Body Hardening, and Total Defense, to summon a single new array that is hundreds of times stronger than the thousands combined above us. Metallic red and black crystalline structures pour out from my palms and expand to create a spinning disk that pushes upward and eliminates all of the harmful aura in the air. There is a pillar of pristine, untainted atmosphere under it, and the glowing forms of a fiery half-demon and glowing white-blue angel stand back to back underneath it. The edges of this array spew dense waves of energy, and they rip through the thick air that consumes this central domain. My aura slams against the central domain's walls hundreds of quadrillions of kilometers away, and the cracks spread much faster. This moment of rest, not having to summon countless glyphs to save our lives, gives Maria the moment necessary to upgrade her own ice summoning skill to primordial grade and allow her system to turn into a sparkling white, blue, and rainbow glow deep in her mind. The final film that held her glyph imprints back has finally evaporated, and her endless soul energy core that was being suppressed can finally spread out its potential into the enormous pool of emptiness that just released millions of new glyphs up to the surface of her soul. She swings her blade upward, releasing a euphoric slash, riding the wave of new power flowing into her. A streak of icy advanced primordial aura phases right through the defensive array I created. Our auras are so in sync, neither of them can harm the other. It is a simple task to move right through the solid structure without affecting it at all. On the other side, a clashing demon and dragon still try to kill each other in the sky. Ember's smile grows so wide, it looks unnatural in this hybrid form. You have waited too long to kill me. Toying with your prey is what did you in. He glances down at the red array glowing below them. He is not only talking about the fact that the two humans below can now withstand the aura in the air, but because a seal on his soul was just loosened too. His gaze moves around the edges of the central domain, looking for potential weak points in the cracks. What nonsense are you speaking? Do you actually still believe you can survive this? Marcellus stops speaking, as the sensation of danger tingles in his cores. His eyes widen as he tries to sense what part of Ember's will is attacking him right now, but all of his readings come up blank. The only thing he can do is rely solely on his instincts and lean back, away from the collision they're about to have. It doesn't make any sense. How could this crippled celestial gray dragon endanger him now? A white and blue flash of light pierces through his aura. So thin and sleek, it is unnoticeable until it is right in front of his face. Marcellus cries out in agony as one of his horns is hit, half of it sliced clean off by a blade he could not even see coming. He has to channel all of his chaotic aura into the wound to stop it from spreading, and his anger grows as the only thing he can hear is Ember's laughs. That was resin from the origin worlds. There's no way she became that strong in just mere moments. No, was she hiding her power before? He flies backward, away from Ember, and looks down to the center of the tree. Marcellus sees two humans he easily captured with little to no force before this battle, now both wielding advanced primordial aura that is growing with maturity even as he lays eyes on them. At the rate it's growing, in just a few seconds they will be even more powerful than him. A loud crack echoes through the domain, as the ice blade did not stop, and collided directly with the center of the dome-like ceiling. This is madness. This cannot be possible. You cannot force me to use that form, he yells, and flies toward Ember filled with rage. Chaotic blue and orange aura leaks out of his broken horn, but it slowly heals and grows back. In fact, the aura around him is starting to become even hotter and stronger the closer he gets to Ember, like it is filled with desperation. Yet, just as he's about to collide with him again, another twinge of danger forces him to change course. This time he does not hesitate, and lets his instincts rule him to not make another mistake. The chaotic demon dodges out of the way, and Maria's next ice blade collides with the domain wall once more, creating another web of cracks in its side. This one catches Ember's attention enough for him to fly toward it, like he is retreating from battle. Yet, his eyes do not show any signs of wanting to run away. He is searching for something else, but I cannot tell what or why. I entertained him while you unleashed your new power. Now you do the same for me. Echoes in my mind through our telepathy link once our eyes meet. Marcellus looks back down at us in anger at the same time, and he stops chasing Ember through the skies. For the first time, I see through the aura around him that made his actual body invisible to my eyes before, and see the true form of the Imperial family head for the first time. His chaotic eyes peer back into me, but my gaze moves upward to look at the floating system tag reading LV 3261885 between his horns. This demon system text is chaotic, blue and orange, just like the waves of aura that pour out of his soul. The demon's eyes, teeth, horns, daggers, and claws all glow with the same chaotic light. But his skin and muscles are very different. It is like I'm staring into pure, consolidated crystals of demonic essence. It is a deep dark purple, and the light of the aura bursting off of him shines through his body. My subconscious replays all of the times I watched his skin and flesh be burned away by Ember's flames, and now I fill in what was really taking place. This crystalline-like flesh was only melted through. Energy pumps into it from his royal demon's core, and it grows back as a perfect replica. Waves of chaotic aura flow through it, enhancing its strength, but they are certainly made of two different energies. Glowing deep inside this demonic form, there are dense purple glyphs strengthening his physical body. Even deeper than that, beside his royal demon's core and purple divine true core in his chest, I see one more orb. For a moment I contemplate if he is the same as me, with 3 cores also capable of wielding mana. However, once I see that it only holds pure high-quality ether, I realize it's something different. The core pulses with familiar glyphs, and my subconscious pattern recognition instantly links it to other blinking white lights holding the same exact glyphs all throughout the upper and lower realm. Whatever that third core is, it has something to do with the seal. Quickly, my in-depth studying of this demon zooms out to the surface, and I focus on his daggers and larger general movements. These are the only things that are actively aiming for me. Marcellus gets fed up with Maria's targeted ice blades after just 2 shots, and turns away from chasing Ember. He dives down at us, and his chaos grows even more desperate and volatile. I have waited too many eras for my paradise to come to fruition. I created the perfect family clan of demons to siphon all of the resources this system gathered from the outside into my domain. This perfect victory will not be ruined by 2 lesser races, 2 humans, insects from the newest era of the Source's creation. This joke is no longer funny. His form slips through the atmosphere almost faster than I can see. I'm only able to track his moments when I push all other thoughts away from my mind. My constant viewing of the zones below instantly ceases, and I activate my primordial resonance buff to focus every fiber of my being on the demon in the sky. I feel Maria's focus tighten too, as she swings her blade back and forth, letting out crescents of icy source resin into the air. Marcellus spins and kicks off the air to dodge by instinct. The ice blades may be near invisible and slice through the primordial aura in the air, but it is his primordial aura they're slicing through. Every time he escapes these blades, his anger grows more, and it looks like he's getting stronger and faster, dodging the new ice blades with more ease. Mere moments later, there is an echoing crash that sends chaos and fire spewing out into the central domain. Marcellus collides with the full-powered metallic red and black crystal defensive array I summoned, and both his chaos-filled blades pierce through it. Not all the way, but enough to send cracks through the disk in the sky hovering above us, and enough to begin pouring chaotic advanced primordial aura through the defenses, down into our personal atmosphere that was free of danger moments earlier. All of the newly awakened glyphs in our souls vibrate even more, floating to the outsides of our bodies, and tethering with our advanced primordial aura to make more defensive arrays hug tight around our energy forms. Maria swings upward again, and the demon pulls out his blades to roll aside. He tries attacking from another angle, but as I shift my stance, the enormous floating array follows where my raised palms aim. Both daggers are lodged into the creation again, and more cracks break through it, damaging some glyphs beyond repair and fracturing others so they begin leaking the ether and aura I've infused into them. Maria sends attacks flying upward at him, but the demon dodges again and again. Over 10 collisions pass, and the defensive array is covered in dagger holes and wide cracks that leak chaotic aura through. On the outside of my soul, I'm beginning to weave a replacement barrier, but this is only a short-term fix. I have all of my skills at my disposal, and I could concentrate on channeling my corruption into a pseudo-soul weapon like I did while fighting demons outside the central domain. However, I can sense that none of them will have the same deadly striking force as Maria's blade does right now. By cutting through the demon's horn, it has already proven to be strong enough to land damage. When I try to reach into my soul and pull at my own blade, it still lays dormant, behind a dark veil. At least now, I can tell that it is some kind of advanced primordial aura pushing my consciousness away. My own dark aura floods in to try and surround it, and it flows far deeper and closer to the blade than I could before, but my aura is still nowhere near mature enough. The sword won't give in. It will not allow aura this weak and unsettled to touch it. So, instead I focus on what I can do in this moment. My barrier crumbles more and more, but the new one I'm forming has two distinct layers to it. Just a little longer. I send to Maria through our link, then visualize flows of primordial aura, sending deep scans of our surroundings and future foresight paths now that it has upgraded to primordial grade. She mentally nods back through our soul tie, and the enormous red and black array above us shatters into nothing but ether dust and free-flowing raw primordial aura. The demon laughs hysterically, as Maria does not send another ice blade its way like she normally would. He does not have to dodge and can close the distance between us even more. I had you two in my grasp once, and did not take the opportunity to set my destiny in stone. This must be fate's gift to me. In the end, this galaxy has been molded to the demon's liking. It is only right I crush the outdated creator's legacy in its activated form. I must see with my own eyes what will be transcended. Yes, this is how the day of the sealing was always meant to be. Maria's wings flap with enough force to shake the tree stump below us. She activates a borrowed body double skill and bursts out in 10 different directions. At the same time, I release the new barrier into the air alone, watching the demon come down at me in the center of the tree. This one has a base below it that looks just like the one he shattered, only it glows brighter and thicker with far more glyphs. In the time it took to break it, my advanced primordial aura has matured even further. The simple array fused to its front is what makes it so unique. It appears to be nothing but a thin film of metallic light. There is only one reinforced glyph in its center. To the unknowing eye, it even looks like an unfinished formation. However, it is hexagonal, and to its core holds the same essence as a true core ability I grasped on the human world in the lower realm from a dragon that could reflect back every attack I threw at it. When Marcellus collides with this array, his blades sink into the film of advanced primordial aura, but they do not break it. The blades slow down the deeper into it he pushes, and as the array bends, the very chaotic glyphs he is trying to channel start to appear, mirrored into this reflective metallic film. Patterns of mirrored demonic glyphs appear all over the seemingly simple hexagonal array. It turns from a plain primordial aura coloring to complex and distorted. Many of the chaotic glyphs that are mirrored are red and black, yet they are locked in place, unable to be released until the pressure of the attack is lifted. This can either happen by the stress point of the mirror being pushed all the way in, and its daggers breaking through to hit the defensive array beneath it. Or, the demon retreats and all of the pressure he's forced into the array will be blasted back at him. While my advanced primordial aura maturity is steadily rising the more I move, think, and take in my surroundings, I know that my raw strength still does not add up to this demon. However, I'm certain this array will hold him in place long enough to trap him and do some damage. Maria produces 9 copies of herself and spreads out in a circle around us. Her blade swings with a violent pressure from every angle, and she sends a flurry of attacks toward the demon that has slowed down while attacking my arrays. All of her double slashes are filled with true advanced primordial aura, but only one of them has source resin, and the deadly power to actually damage this demon like the first hit. This does not change the fact that hundreds of lower-grade attacks are being sent its way, that react to his chaotic aura the same as the real strike. Only this demon's instincts, deep down, can sense where the actual deadly strike is coming from. In order to dodge the first few, he has to bend his body in extremely strange angles. One of them even schemes his leg, leaving a wide-open icy blue and white gash. He explodes with more blue and orange bursts of light, but it no longer looks the same in my eyes. Before, I saw something beautiful and graceful. Now, it's like he's giving in to a different power. I feel the rage of a demon seeping into the aura that was pure and unique before. There are even faint streaks of purple energy seeping out from his core, making the chaos even more convoluted. Maria's decoy blades all slam into the energy body of this demon, and he does not even flinch. They are extremely strong attacks, very similar to the strength of what a fireball produced from my palm right now would probably create. It only disrupts a portion of his chaotic aura. Even the very few of them that make it all the way through don't even crack or scratch his deep purple crystalline skin. This confirms in my mind, to actually hurt him, I would need to use a massive amount of my corruption tethered to arrays formed with the newest edition of Creator's Legacy glyphs. Even with it, I watched the icy slash on his leg heal almost instantly. Even his horn from before has grown back entirely, as good as new. This does not dissuade Maria. She lands more and more hits as the two chaotic daggers sink deeper into my array. At first, it looks just like when he and Ember were facing off in the sky. The wounds just flash on his crystal flesh, then fade away faster than they come. This story originates from a different website. Ensure the author gets the support they deserve by reading it there. However, there are no attacks flying back at Maria now, only waves of aura. Marcellus tries to lift a dagger out of my array, and instantly the glyphs that form around the stress point start to spin. His instincts blare in his mind, and he pushes harder, realizing this really is a trap, and the only way out is through. His only defense against the icy blades is dodging, and pulsing out waves of especially dense primordial aura at the icy archangels that surround him. There are waves of chaos, now partially infused with demonic essence, that burst out like sun flares and destroy body doubles that are too close and have nowhere to run. They also do not have the layers of Creator's Legacy glyphs that Maria's real body holds, so a single strong wave of aura destroys them without too much resistance. She summons many more, but also gets into a rhythm, understanding the demon's reactions to her strikes. Maria even mentally maps out how this demon's instincts work, and begins throwing double attacks from different angles, predicting where he will dodge to before he even does. She gets closer and closer, landing hits that cut deeper and become nearer and nearer to vital points. Her true body blips back and forth, quadrillions of kilometers at a time, swapping bodies with her doubles and forming new angelic forms that explode out of her every time too many are destroyed. It looks like an icy sparkling tornado is forming above this tree stump, as more and more residue fills the air. There are dozens of full-powered attacks that completely miss and slam into the central domain's barrier dome. Every one of them shakes its structural integrity, filling the entire barrier with more sparkling fractures than there is untainted space. She lands 2 consecutive blows on the demon's horns, then one that comes dangerously close to its cores. Given a few more seconds, Marcellus would certainly break through my defenses, but this is time he does not have. His mobility is so limited, and Maria is learning his movements so precisely. In a few more rounds he'll face a barrage of icy blades he cannot dodge. Marcellus lets out a frustrated roar, and I feel the pressure on my barrier lessen. All of the mirrored glyphs that stored this built-up energy begin to spin in reverse, and the advanced primordial aura that pours out of the array is extremely ominous. It feels chaotic and demonic, but it is made of my own ethereal fire and primordial corruption, only using this demon's sacrificed energy as its fuel source. A pillar of horrific energy explodes upward, completely surrounding Marcellus and blasting him backward as the hexagon array throws him back and shatters after its one-time use. The shockwave even destroys all of Maria's doubles and pushes her real body back. There is a domain-shaking thud almost instantly after the flash of aura pours out, and the pillar disappears almost as fast as it was summoned. This Imperial family head is pushed up against the top of the domain's ceiling, his crystal energy form fractured all over, and the majority of his chaotic blue and orange aura completely evaporated from being overwhelmed. One of his horns is still broken from Maria's last few hits, but his blades still glow and pulse with chaos, just like his eyes. For a mere moment, this demon looked weak, frail enough that it felt like one more good hit could actually kill him. Yet this fleeting vision fades fast. The small streaks of purple I saw blending with his primordial aura before flow out with far more intensity. He is no longer trying to keep it inside. I watch as demonic essence is forcefully pushed out from his royal demon's core. At the same time, the evaporated chaotic aura grows back. I saw outer guards and first bloods do a similar thing. It even happened to me when my aura was overpowered completely. It can be destroyed, but as soon as there is space to spread out the will again, it can grow back just as strong. In this demon's case, even stronger. Its eyes change. There is no longer a prideful demon that knows it has won, that is certain he will stand in this primordial garden for eternity with all of the galaxy's energy in his grasp. There is now a demon that has lived billions of years, and for the first time is realizing he might fail. Something breaks, and I watch the chaotic system tags shifting above his head. He activates a buff, and the system mechanisms that I can sense but cannot fully understand begin to trigger. Just like my primordial grade shadow step had a small lag to its activation, so does this buff. I can only feel something deep in my soul trembling at the amount of energy that is about to be released. My gaze turns to Maria, and her icy blue eyes are filled with the same understanding. Both of us focus and peer into our own systems and follow the path of least resistance. It leads us to the bright glowing, rank-up notifications that have been waiting for us. All of the chaotic advanced primordial aura that is being summoned back into reality does not spread out to fill the atmosphere. Instead, it swirls back around, seeping into the cracks of this demon's crystalline body. All of the fracture marks glow bright orange and blue, and the deep purple form starts to look as though it's being flooded with chaotic colored dye. His eyes, horns, and claws glow extremely bright, and all of his demonic glyphs begin moving in strange patterns on the outside of his soul. They're shifting and spreading out. I begin to see glyphs forming inside the chaotic cracks and flooding into the rest of his body where it was just smooth demonic essence crystals before. The bright system text of the primordial demon's chaos body buff flashes in my vision. As tremors fill the air, and the entire inside of the central domain is filled with an eerie presence. It feels like even the system itself is looking away from this breakthrough, like it is disappointed in him from straying away from his natural path. You've made me do this. There is a chance I die, but a certainty that you will. For the sake of the Overseer, the true Emperor-to-be, I must defend the new legacy he has created, and that I have devoted my life to. His yell echoes through my mind. His eyes look wild. They stare down at both of us, and dart across the sky when he sees Ember below him bolting to and from some of the largest cracks in the domain that Maria's stray attacks have made. The hybrid dragon's eyes are pulsing with the same white light that Marcellus' strange ether core is, and every time he presses into the central domain barrier, waves of primordial aura ripple through the air that do not belong to anyone here. He is manipulating the arrays in the central domain, making the aura that seals us in here waver. There is nothing you can do to escape now, Fallen One. All you can do is watch the saviors you brought with you fail to complete your legacy. This will be the last system you ever conquer. I, Marcellus Imperial, will win by any means necessary. He screams. I cannot keep track of Ember's movements at all. I can only focus on the horrific feeling that comes from Marcellus as more mechanisms of this new buff trigger. If he activates this form and attacks us in our current state, it feels like we would be vaporized without even knowing what hit us. The rank-up text shines bright now, saturated with advanced primordial aura. It has a dark rainbow color to it, like a lighter version of the isolation barrier we used moments ago. It stands out in my red and black system text even more now, however, for a different reason. Stolen from Royal Road, this story should be reported if encountered on Amazon. Before, it stood out because I felt an ominous pressure every time I tried to press it or get near. Now, the barrier around it is not even as strong as my own aura. It feels as simple as activating a skill. Even so, we need more time to rank up than just the few fractions of a second we have. My own last rank up is a very strong memory still in my mind, awakening my sacred body in the heat of battle while battling Muriel, the only royal demon in the green zone. The most recent rank ups from my admins, generals, commanders, and knights are all extremely fresh in my mind too. As they used the primordial aura, I granted them to aid in their awakenings while using the Mind Palace skill. This is exactly what I plan to do now, but the skill feels very different now that it is at primordial grade, and now that every time I use a skill I can feel the inner mechanisms of the system moving. Maria and I both take a step closer to touch, then activate the primordial grade Mind Palace skill at the exact same time. My vision warps, and I watch reality around me start to slow down. Even my own body, and control over the energy in the atmosphere, dulls and slows to a speed too slow to comprehend. Time is definitely still moving, but it has been warped so much that the movement cannot be perceived. Both of our minds flow through the system and into a strange chamber. It feels like we're inside the isolation barrier again, but it is only our thoughts. Even my perception of the space we're morphing into blends away once the system command is fully triggered. I watch my Mind Palace, that is a white marble throne with neatly lined up bookcases below it, come into view. They are not all pristine white anymore. Many glow with different energies, like pure mana, raw chi, many refined stages of ether, every single color divine thread, and royal vibrations paired with primordial aura maturity. Depending on the potency of the memories and my perception of energy when I lived through them, it is all on display before me. I don't even have to walk through the aisles. Merely looking at the books from afar is triggering some memories. However, when I look all the way past them, where there would normally be a black void, I see another connected island in this mental space. It glows blue and shimmers with a sparkling white and rainbow light. I see an icy throne at the back of her construct too, but the memories she looks down on are far more spread out and elegant than mine. It looks like there are glass boxes on top of pedestals, like museum displays scattered about a wide-open ice rink. When Maria walks off her throne, she easily slides to any display she wishes, and they begin replaying holograms of every one of her memories inside the glass boxes. With a touch on the icy glass, she can slide through the moments in time, as each one holds hundreds of memories. It is a bit less fragmented than my vast collection of books. However, comparing mind palaces is not our goal. Grasping enough power to counter whatever reality-breaking chaos form this demon is about to unleash is. We walk through our mental spaces and meet each other in the center where our minds touch, then both sit down on top of an invisible void. Not a word is spoken. We just close our eyes and press, rank up, while the world outside has slowed to a halt. After the system command activates, for a moment, it feels like even the flow of time within this mind palace has slowed to a stop too. The rank up alert disappears, and a refreshing feeling starts to spread out into the mental manifestation of my body. It pushes out all of the distractions that were still tickling the outer edges of my mind. All activity in the Rising Emperor's interface fades away. All of the events that are happening inside the central domain where my actual senses can touch, even these completely disappear. My range of thought is limited to the two mind palaces for a moment. Then slowly, even they are blocked out of my mind. The only thing I can sense in that black void is Maria. As this refreshing aura completely spreads out into every bit of my mental body, even the thought of her starts to fade. Yet, in a state of perfect concentration, it is not complete without another mind to bounce off of. At the most raw and intimate point, at the deepest depths of my mind, Maria is still here, and I am still present in hers as the same reaction takes place. The rank up begins, and all of the advanced primordial aura outside our bodies begins to flow inward, creating a strange reaction of gravity and energy waves in the outside zone. It compresses and grows more and more mature as it floods into the invisible pocket realm within our minds created by this skill. This is a completely automatic and unconscious function. The outer membrane of the linked mind palace becomes saturated in our auras, and it leaks through, reaching both of our internal mental manifestations. They flow into our backs and grow thicker, stronger, and more mature as we fall into a trance and allow the preset system commands to guide us through the rank up. This would normally be over in a flash of white light, but my perception is strong enough now to witness the entire thing happen in real time. The two human manifestations in a strange chamber, devoid of physical matter, and just barely stimulating the passage of time around them, begin to glow bright red and blue in the center of this void. All of the advanced primordial aura these two minds control is compacted into small orbs and refined millions of times faster than the outside realm. The fabric of the system itself that is activating these commands bends under the pressure, like it is attempting to manipulate energy that is strong enough to resist, or at least warp, the underlying commands. Even the membrane of the mind palace starts to melt and bend inward from the pressure. The perfect lines of bookcases behind me start to follow the flow of aura in the air, and the neatly placed crystal pedestals behind Maria bend like they're melted glass. The memories we walked away from to sit alone in this void start to pour into us. Even the thrones at the far back side of this mental realm feel as though we're sitting on them right now. Every single one of my life memories plays in my mind, all at once. My consciousness is connected to Maria right now, and I see every moment of her life too, flash before my eyes in perfect clarity. No time passed, but I feel as though I lived it second by second beside her. If you encounter this narrative on Amazon, note that it's taken without the author's consent. Report it. All concepts of time and space start to become muddy, as the outside of this membrane droops and melts so much, it touches the outside of our mental manifestations. Every time it does, a flickering flash of the outside zone bursts into my mind in real time, but simultaneously, I absorb the advanced primordial aura that makes up the outside of the skill. The activation of this rank up is using an absurd amount of power. So much so, that every time my mind touches the outside zone again, all of the soul ties connecting me to the lower realm flash in my consciousness. The shared primordial aura I've granted all of them creates an even more strange feedback loop, making parts of their subconscious activate a mind palace skill in the backs of their minds. It is nowhere near as vivid as when I watched Maria's life flash before my eyes, but I do see quintillions of memory fragments burst into my mind. It is an assortment of epiphanies and moments that spiked the greatest amount of emotions or leaps in understanding in their lives. This burst of memories speeds up the process even more, and triggers the final set of commands in the system to activate the rank up. The entire outer membrane of the Mind Palace skill collapses in on itself, and is absorbed by the red and blue humans in the center of it all. The thrones, and the memories inside, flow with it, disappearing into our backs. The black void we sat above is completely gone, and now there is only bright white space left behind. I can feel it with my senses, but do not physically see. It is exactly what usually flashes in front of my eyes when I watch a rank up. This time I'm watching it from the other side. My eyes open, and the white flash triggers all of the commands left in place, deactivating the Mind Palace skill and unleashing our auras to the outside zone. Dangerous waves of black and red metallic fire flood out from my soul again and fill my body. They pulse outward, and I can instantly feel a meteoric shift in my control over reality around me. Before, we were once inside an enormous wide-open forest that spread far and wide to the edges of the central domain. Sure, I could sense everything within it, but in order to aim or block, many calculations had to be done. Tracking Ember and Marcellus through the air took a large amount of mental power to produce. It's like instead of weak waves of mist brushing up against the walls of the domain, now a tidal wave of pure liquid pours out and crashes up against the inside of this dome. It feels like a small closed room that I can feel and move toward any position inside of it. Half of the domain fills with that blood-red and abyss-black metallic fire, and the other half saturates with liquid icy mirrors. The impact shatters the entire central domain to pieces. Every bit of structural integrity that was left is now obliterated to dust. Our auras would be blasting outward into the ritual domains, past the neutral zones, and most likely flood even the outer settlements covering the entirety of the purple zone. But it does not. Around the edges of the domain, there are countless strands of silver threads holding the domain together. My eyes are fast enough to grasp a clear view of Ember's movements, and he still circles around the dome. His clawed hands in his hybrid form are finally clear to see, as he weaves and manipulates the domain barrier further, even as the high-quality ether glyphs that made up its core are now shattered to mist. There is another layer of commands beneath it that hold our aura inside. Ember does not weave these commands near the top of the dome, but our aura does not pour out this way either. This is because there is a force strong enough to hold us back now erupting out from Marcellus Imperial. The cracks in his purple crystal body all glow so bright orange and blue that the chaotic aura consolidating in them fills his entire form. The demon's body starts to glow entirely the color of his advanced primordial aura, and the glyphs that covered his horns and eyes before now seal up all of the cracks and float around inside him. It feels like a limiter was shattered in his soul. The system that displays all of his levels and buffs no longer feeds back properly to my system when I scan it. There are not the usual errors or strange characters of a protected higher-level shield. Instead, there is a void, like the system itself is not strong enough to understand what is being produced. It's like he broke a limiter and is letting his chaotic aura take control of his mind, body, and soul. I do not see a possible path for him to deactivate this strange ability. A dark orange, purple, and blue pulse of energy pours down on us, and it becomes stronger and stronger with every passing moment. Marcellus lets out a chaotic roar, and the bright orange demon kicks off the shattered ceiling to launch itself back down at us. In response, I activate the brand new buff that has appeared on the bottom of my status, and finally start to feel my sword trembling with hunger in the depths of my soul. I press my newest buff, the Primordial Emperor's Origin body burning hot at the bottom of my status. All of the extremely potent, refined, advanced primordial aura in the atmosphere becomes stimulated. For a moment, I feel a similarity in this form to the first time I activated my astral body. It's like the atmosphere around me can be expanded into infinitely. It is the feeling I felt when my aura poured out, touching the walls of this domain, but now, I feel as though I could grow to fill this entire dome with ease. There is a fluidity that courses through my soul, that makes me feel like anything is possible. If I can imagine it in my mind, all it would take is the simple command to have it turn into reality. It instantly makes the process that was going on with the isolation barrier earlier make far more sense. Primordial aura and royal vibrations at this level of comprehension do not act aligned with the laws of physical nature. While it feels similar to my astral form, that body was still constrained to the divine threads in the atmosphere. Where there is less energy, the form is limited. The rules of physical energy do not apply. I am only limited to how far my waves of aura can travel. The glyphs resting on the outer layer of my soul are able to flow freely on the outside of my body, and move with the waves of intention that I wield. This is only because, at any moment in time, if my desire is strong enough, my new origin body will be exactly where the strongest pool of primordial aura and glyphs are. This allows for instant full-power array casting from any angle. However, this does also have vulnerabilities. In my current case, I can already feel three major limiters. The first is the dome around me, the second is the purple zone's floor below, and the final is the massive, growing chaotic aura that flies down at me. Its advanced primordial aura has the same qualities as mine. It will grow and expand into any area until another will with a stronger potential can stop it. There is one more variable inside this dome, but it does not limit me at all. Maria's Mother Angel's origin body activating flows right through me. Both of our primordial auras are coexisting, yet not suppressing each other. They only attack the one target in the sky. Her form is slightly different than mine. Instead of a pure primordial aura-driven activation, her infinite pool of stacking soul energy cores are tied into it. The outside of her expanding form works exactly the same as mine, using external primordial aura to feel everything and pour her glyphs within pockets of her soul wherever she desires. However, in the center of her new form, there is no actual physical core holding her in place. If you encounter this tale on Amazon, note that it's taken without the author's consent. Report it. The dichotomy of her soul energy core that collapsed in on itself in the lower realm is that it is technically not even real, but it does store energy within a single point in space, like an ether-powered black hole. The stress that activating new stacked copies of her core put on her mind, body, and soul before has been almost entirely negated. This new form allows the immense gravity and pressure on her soul to be spread out, lessening the tension the further she stretches it, to the edges of the central domain. Every single time she allows the pseudo-cores to manifest, it follows a perfect Fibonacci sequence, becoming exponentially more stacked cores with every spiral. She has never pushed it much further than a few thousand cores, but now it is as though there are no negative drawbacks. Finally, dozens of sparkling blue and white spirals of raw power pour out from the center of her chest. Instantly, over 1 billion full-powered soul energy cores stack on top of each other and produce enough energy to stimulate all of the source resin that was lying dormant inside her sword and deep within her soul. The wings on her back grow even larger. Her figure becomes even more mature, and a blinding crystalline halo manifests over her head. Her entire energy manifestation sparkles like it's made of pure diamond, and all of the chaotic orange aura that pours down to collide with it bounces off and is refracted in countless angles until it's evaporated into unrecognizable raw primordial aura. Her aura slams against the sides of the central domain just as hard as mine, but her true visible body inside stops growing at roughly 1 quadrillion kilometers tall. Black, red, and metallic flames burst off my energy body as I consolidate the advanced primordial aura nearest to my soul, and bind together the strongest glyphs around its outside. I too stand at 1 quadrillion kilometers from my feet all the way up to the manifestation of a faceless demon's mask with horns made of pure primordial corruption on my head. The chaotic orange aura that pierces through the veil and hits me is all eaten up by my primordial fire and abyss-like corruption, and converted into raw aura, only strengthening my will. The sword in the depths of my soul trembles with bloodlust the closer this demon gets. When I reach in to grab it, and my consciousness crosses the advanced primordial aura barrier that was guarding it, I watch the core of the sword flicker with a burst of golden glyphs. It makes the entire sword light up in my soul, glowing bright crimson. Its entire blade from the base to the tip becomes covered in originator glyphs. They all float upward from its core, covering the outer limits of the sword's unique soul. They flicker with golden light until they're set in place, then flash with raw, unmarked rainbow advanced primordial aura, and finally become flooded with the crimson bloodlust of the sword. Millions of these glyphs float to the blade's surface, and I watch the golden light that flashed in its center fall deeper and deeper into the blade's depths. Once it leaves my senses, all I can see is the heavy pool of crimson power growing stronger and stronger. I grab a hold of the handle and pull it out into the purple zone. Another unique burst of advanced primordial aura enters the central domain and explodes with black and red flames as my own aura pours into the blade, making both it and me tens of times stronger. I let out a primal battle yell once this feeling of unity finally flows through me again, and swing upward with everything I have. On the other side of the tree stump, Maria's diamond ice blade swings upward in unison. The red and blue swords clash above our heads with the incoming orange light, colliding soul weapon to soul weapon, stopping both of Marcellus Imperial's chaotic daggers in mid-air. The tree stump beneath our feet splits and cracks from the pressure, and the entire central domain's dome is vaporized, leaving only flickering silver threads behind. Ember phases upward, out through the center of the ceiling the instant we clash, and seals up the domain once more with a burst of silver threads right after. The entire central domain starts to blend and clash with flowing auras that fight for dominance. I do not care what power the Creator's legacy has granted you, for my own path does not have to be bound by the laws of the system like yours. I will let chaos destroy the order you wish to create, he yells down at us. This does not only echo into our minds with the words he says, but the high royal vibrations bound to the growing chaotic advanced primordial aura allow his intentions to become crystal clear. His words are just for show. Every fiber of his being is letting go, and he is no longer holding back. Marcellus Imperial does not care if he lives or dies. He only wishes to destroy the legacy holders below him. I can feel waves of the system being filtered through his aura, but even they are being consumed by this orange sea of madness. It's like a virus, eating up everything it touches. Yet, there is a red and blue pool of energy clashing with it, forcing it to bend its path. The crimson glyphs in my sword grow hotter and hotter as the chaotic glyphs in this demon's dagger spin and pulse. At their contact points, the primordial aura becomes so dense and compressed that the only thing my senses pick up is a fuzzy black bend in space. It does not have any width to it. It is infinitely small, like a single line bending to the whims of gravity in the air. The pressure is absurd, sending shockwave after shockwave into the atmosphere as he pushes down further and we stand our ground. Maria and I both shift our stances and explode upward with all the force we have. My sword's bloodlust grows hotter and more alive with every passing moment, and I feel billions more soul energy cores stacking into Maria's origin body. We become stronger and stronger, but the hatred and will to destroy and disrupt everything in its path crushing down on us only react more to the aura it feels. Every increase in our power triggers its chaos to grow brighter orange. There are strong veins of purple demonic energy that start to pour out from the center of his body, and it holds the figure of a demon in place in its center. Without this structure, I can feel that he would explode into an unrecognizable glob of power. This is what allows him to think with logic and hold his blades, but it is also what holds him back. There is enough of a slight error to his perfection, leaving small glitches and gaps in his aura. This is where I still see glimpses of the system peeking through. It gives me enough edge to twist my blade and escape from the downward pin he's trying to hold us in. This novel is published on a different platform. Support the original author by finding the official source. Maria takes advantage of this too, bursting out with another extremely bright wave of rainbow ice when her stacked cores surpass 10 billion. We split off in separate directions and immediately go in for counters of our own. When I swing my blade, many of its latent abilities automatically activate. A bright crimson eye opens up at the sword's base, right above my grip, and the blade multiplies into over 1 million perfect copies. They all appear surrounding my head and covering my back. Each of them gives off its own deep crimson advanced primordial aura, giving my already spectacular origin body a second outer glow, like there is a red shadow following behind me. When I swing the real core sword across my body, a horrific black and red metallic wave of fire comes pouring out of it. Imbued inside, surrounding, and following the wave, hundreds of thousands of these sword copies ride within it. Even during this swing, I feel more and more blood-red glyphs floating to the surface of my blade. It feels like it is just yawning, beginning to wake up, and this attack that shakes the entire central domain is nothing more than it stretching out its body and taking in the morning sun. The wave of fire expands and grows, getting hotter the longer it flies. It collides with the enormous bubble-like mass of chaotic aura and burns right through. From the other side, an equally massive slash of icy crystal sparkles and reflects colors that have never appeared in the spectrum of light in the lower realm. When it collides with the bubble from the other side, it appears as though the chaos is frozen and cracking apart while the wave of ice breaks through. The closer we get to his true body, the slower our attacks fly. The outer layers of advanced primordial aura even begin to be taken over by waves of chaos. It eats away at the weaker flames and disconnected ice crystals, separating them from their system connections and absorbing them into raw primordial aura that the demon can use for himself. However, it is not strong enough to stop them entirely. The dark fire and light icy auras hit Marcellus in the back and in the chest from opposite sides, pinning him in the air just like he did to us moments earlier. There is another explosion that rattles the entire central domain, sending out aura flying in trillions of directions while they cannibalize each other and wrestle for dominance in the sky. The only thing different about this clash is that I feel my many blades cutting into the strands of primordial demonic essence holding his physical body together deep down. The waves of black corruption-infused glyphs I produce devour this energy too, and connect to its source every time. I can feel that this pool of power is tied to the physical plane, and is not infinite. It cannot just be summoned from thought and willpower alone like this chaotic aura. When Maria's ice shatters some of these deep purple veins of aura, her source resin devours the pure high-quality ether inside them too. This knowledge instantly bounces through both of our minds, and we confirm that we've found this demon's weakness. He lets out a murderous roar that echoes through our souls, and the bright orange flooding out of him becomes stronger again. Without any target to aim at, this would be a horrifying sight, but seeing the glints of demonic essence tied to the system he still has to hold on to are the only thing my tunnel vision hones in on. Marcellus throws both of his daggers out of his hands. They glide through the air in a beautiful and graceful pattern, but my crimson blade swings across my body with an awe-inspiring aura about it too. Both of them have wills that do not fear the other. The blades collide in the air and create another shockwave while the demon destroys and sacrifices more pieces of his soul to grasp at more chaotic power. Another collision echoes through the dome moments later as Maria's blade stops his other dagger. The tree stump beneath all of this madness cracks more and more. Even the silver threads holding the central domain together begin to bend and stretch from the overwhelming pressure. Ember sits atop the dome in his hybrid form, watching the battle play out with a wide grin. It appears you two will be just fine. I can now rank up without having to worry. He closes his eyes, and his entire body starts to shine with a bright white, blinding light. The small white dot at the center of the ceiling grows, and the rank-up light pouring out of Ember's body becomes so bright that it completely covers the sky. Warmth even pierces through the silver threads holding this dome together, as they are all ether commands, divine energy, and primordial aura woven from his own clawed hands. Every passing moment, it appears as though a white void descends from above. Even the visuals of the purple zone I have collected from the many primordial trees in the ritual domains are watching. They too all begin to be blinded by a bright white glow from the center of the primordial garden. Those that are too far away, further out in the previously demon-owned lands around the neutral zones, only see the sky light up in a bright white aura. It is a strange white light. Not only is it infused with pure, high-quality ether, but it is refined even further into something unrecognizable in this zone. It is an ether so fine only the system itself can process it fully. A calm and pristine advanced primordial aura flows through it, that is both black and white at the same time. Its true color cannot manifest in this zone. Yet, even the outer settlements are blinded by the aura. It appears bright white in their senses too and easily phases through all of the Dryad's ancient protective barriers. Even Run, far out in an isolated domain hidden in the outer settlement, sees a white glow penetrating in from the sky. When it shines to every single area of the primordial garden, the light begins to pulse in a rhythmic manner. It pulses so brightly that energy even starts to seep through the floor of the purple zone down to the zones below. It is pulsing in rhythm with the same white aura that is in the film between each zone and the reactors at the center of each of them. It is also synced with the artifact in Marcellus' chest, the fortress in the green zone, and the enormous black planet-sized artifact that was once known as the demonic realm. While it manifests as a white glow in the purple zone, the life forms in the zones below cannot sense the radiation he is giving off. The only thing that can be tracked is the fact that the pulsing rhythm is getting faster. In the blue zone, the growing leaves of Abby's enormous green tree are showered in this invisible aura. It invigorates it even more, spreading the branches and growth of the lush new leaves to expand faster. Some of the newest sprouting leaves grow high enough to start touching the upper limits of the blue zone and produce small purple cracks in the air. The zone barrier between the cyan zone and the blue zone is being torn apart, and the stability of both zones is shaking and breaking apart. There are only two living entities inside both of these zones combined, Abby and Seraphel. So, when dense blue threads pour down into the cyan zone and devour the cyan threads, forcing them to compress and equalize the pressure, so do the green-haired human and blue wyvern's cores. Dense blue threads easily fill their celestial bodies, and the advanced primordial aura being shared by the rising emperor keeps them sturdy and intact to handle this breakthrough without any harm done to their divine cores. While Abby stays near the base of the tree, glowing bright in her dryad-like form, Seraphel soars to the sky and easily breaks up into the blue zone through the many cracks in the sky. He circles the growing branches of the trees and lets out a strong, victorious screech that echoes through the entire two zones. Below both of them, there is an enormous white blinking barrier that has held strong for billions of years, surrounding the ravine in the cyan zone. However, it is being completely overgrown by this tree's roots. What first only cracked its outer layers and feasted on its ether reserves to grow is now breaking through entire sections of the enormous demonic seal. Huge cracks and holes in the bright white prison array are appearing, and green roots of a primordial tree are flooding down into the vast network of caves and temples in the empty and dark ravine. In the green zone, every single elite, general, and warlord have locked onto and killed the demons invading their citadels. The horrific shockwaves have shaken the entire zone and filled the air outside of the Citadel defense arrays with raw celestial energy, demonic essence, and even high-quality ether that cannot be digested by normal citizens. The worst of the danger has passed. There is no longer a single ancient Imperial soldier left in the green zone. The mindless soldiers and the intelligent outer guards have all been killed. Even in the lower realm, the intelligence network has grown to such efficiency that even with millions of demonic soldiers with the power to destroy entire solar systems with a flick of their wrists, every single one of them is being tracked down and killed in mere seconds. The bursts of light that flash throughout the galaxy will alter the patterns of the sky for hundreds of thousands of years. Enormous supernova-like explosions of ether and celestial energy fill areas of space near the outer edges of the galaxy that were not lit up and only held forgotten worlds. Now, over 120 billion worlds are connected to the worldwide connectivity system, and every single battle is being hosted through live spectate feeds. The true power of the admins, commanders, and knights is being shown to everyone and captured in history, as they save more and more civilizations from extinction with every passing second. I am not the only one that feels this running in the back of my mind. The chaotic demon I face still has his own system connections to the army he created to exterminate the lower realm. He feels the deactivation of all of his soldiers one by one, alerting him that even that surefire plan has not gone the way he desired. You're messing everything up. Do not believe the dreams that Dragon has spouted to you. Do you really believe that the cycle can be reset? Why would you trust something you cannot test or see with your own eyes? An immortal paradise is waiting for me right here. I must claim it no matter what. Marcellus cries out in a murderous roar. 2 more blasts of shockwaves shake the now blinking white dome around us as we break free from the collisions with his daggers. Maria and I are sent flying backward, but both swing our blades across our bodies and step through the air in seemingly random patterns to send dozens of full-powered long-range attacks back. The growing orange chaotic aura is destroyed by enormous red flames and blue sparkling waves of ice at the same rate that it grows. Both of the chaotic daggers begin trailing us through the air and trying to catch us. However, the further away from the demon's true body at the center of the domain they get, the slower and weaker they become. We quickly work this into our attack strategy and lure his long-range strikes further and further away. Chipped chaotic soul mass starts to fly off the blades, and there are even glyphs that explode and spin out from the daggers when clashed with hard enough. Every single primordial tree on the ground below is not affected by the waves of advanced primordial aura clashing in the sky. It moves through reality at a frequency far different than these living artifacts exist in. Some exploding high-quality ether glyphs do create shockwaves that fall back into the physical realm, and stray waves of disconnected demonic essence tear up the ground when fragments back their way through. However, the majority of all this mass and energy is absorbed by tendrils of corruption or waves of source resin that cover the entire bottom half of the dome. Every tree has submitted to the rising emperor, so the physical force from Maria's and my auras is not harmful to them at all. There is only one structure beneath the entire domain that is being damaged, as it contains anchors that root it into reality with advanced primordial aura. It is the stump of the tree that is being shattered and cracked open by the clash. A very unique aura seeps out of the cracks. It feels like a dryad, but there are no glyphs visible to check if my instincts are correct. Wherever this is coming from, it feels like large amounts of this aura are still trapped underground, and the barriers of the central domain are actually blocking out most of what I could be sensing. The silver threads that are now covered in a bright white, pulsing hot glow are not just surrounding us on the sides and above this dome. There is a perfectly flat floor far beneath the visible ground, creating half a sphere. This space alone is where my advanced senses stop. The rest of reality outside can only be perceived through others' eyes. Yet, as visuals of the last remaining Imperial demons in the lower realm being killed are playing in my mind, I see small changes in Marcellus' body. There are small tendrils of invisible soul ties, and collections of high-quality ether glyphs that disappear one by one. Each severed soul tie makes his demonic essence turn darker and colder, as he becomes more isolated from the true galaxy down below. I can even see the smaller-scale wars taking place in the outer settlements of the Purple Zone. Many of the ascended demons and outer guards flood out of the inner domains because of the horrific pressure that seeps out of the trees. Those with links of loyalty can exist freely in peace, but those that are opposed feel the collective primordial aura of every Dryad's minor legacy left behind. My own advanced primordial aura even raised their intensity further, making even First Bloods flee from the overwhelming pressure in the ritual domains where the strongest primordial trees stand. Even without my help, there are thousands of strong domain lords in the outer settlements that could have killed outer guards just like Ulgar, Axel, and Vardon. If you come across this story on Amazon, be aware that it has been stolen from Royal Road. Please report it. I witness many domain lords leave their protective shelters and fight the hordes of demons that come their way. There are enormous sandworms, emerald lizards, golden lions, insects with more eyes than limbs, humanoid bears with long horns and tusks, fiery scorpions, and dozens of races that look nothing like anything I've ever even seen to be an equivalent equal in dungeons. Some of the outermost domains aren't even limited to a single race or clan. There are domains that are collections of hundreds of thousands of extinct races. They group together as the last remains of their forgotten worlds, some of which have lit up again on the worldwide connectivity system, on the edges of the galaxy. Others still remain dark, as the one representative here in the Primordial Garden is the last of their kind. Many of these creatures would never be able to fend for themselves against an outer guard, but as the waves of advanced primordial aura flow into them, they can all tell they stand a fighting chance. In the front lines, closer to the neutral domains, the first appearance of a First Blood escaping into the outer settlements occurs. There is a black ogre, white griffin, and rust-colored mammoth that stop it before it breaks through to the weaker domains. Not long ago, the three of them were pinned to the tops of buildings under the pressure of a First Blood's resting aura alone. Yet now, a deep red and black metallic energy floods through all of them with enough pressure to keep them upright and clash on equal grounds. All throughout the ring, for hundreds of quadrillions of kilometers all the way around, the strongest of the domain lords all clash with First Bloods that they never dreamed of standing up to before today. Shockwaves and brutality fill the purple zone, and the lives of First Bloods are taken one by one as the mana-based domain lords grow stronger every passing second. Simultaneously, Maria and I fly around the dome, getting faster with every collision. The two chaotic daggers that try to follow us become so damaged that their attempts to actually injure us become hopeless. I'm able to keep my momentum through the sky while swinging my blade across my body. I don't even have to stop or change directions in the air when we clash. My soul sword continues to become hotter and more bloodthirsty with every collision. It even catches cracked pieces of chaotic soul mass from the daggers and devours them mid-swing. The copies of primordial blades grow as its will expands too. There are over 10 million miniature red blades that follow me like a crimson shadow. Each of them morphs into my own advanced primordial aura, and there are strands of pure, high-quality ether that connect my creator's legacy glyphs to the many floating swords. I can instantly cast and create even stronger arrays with this mist of crimson swords. It is like an even larger pseudo-greater form that grows around me. I even ignore the chaotic dagger that tries to attack me once my defenses grow strong enough. I'm able to let out a full-powered black and red wave of fire, while millions of smaller floating swords spin and summon glyphs together to protect my back. A massive crimson sword array blocks the orange dagger in midair, and I land a devastating blow on the demon. It burns through an enormous amount of chaotic aura and lands a direct hit on one of the demon's legs. It's completely incinerated to nothing but ether mist and raw demonic essence. From his other side, Maria flaps her enormous crystal angel wings and swoops in faster than the demon can react in this moment of shock. An unfathomably thin blue and white blade of ice slices through the atmosphere of auras and cuts off his opposite arm and a quarter of his face as well. The demon yanks its head out of the way in time to save most of his horn, but lets out a chaotic roar when the separated flesh freezes to mirror-like crystals and shatters in an instant. Marcellus pulls both of his chipped blades back toward himself, away from both sides of the central domain. Yet, he can only properly catch one. The other just floats where his lost hand should be. His rainbow-orange eyes look even more erratic, cruel, and filled with hatred as he stares down at us with a chunk of his face missing. Even as Marcellus stares down at us now, There is no fear in his eyes. Fire crackles on his stump for a leg, and his arm and face are covered in an ice-like mirror that slowly chips more of his body away. The demonic essence pouring out of his chest is the only substance that can heal this physical body of his. It may be saturated by the chaotic advanced primordial aura being summoned, but at its core, it is still made of this purple crystalline structure. It is the only thing on him that I can accurately track with my system, because it is the only part of him still connected to the physical realm. Now as he heals himself, it's like miniature strings are being plucked one by one. The larger ones correspond with first bloods being slaughtered in the outer settlements, the smaller ones are the last remaining outer guards in this zone, and the edges of deep space in the lower realm. More and more soul ties disappear, and it severs this demon's sense of connection with reality. I can see it driving his eyes to become even more mad. The darker his demonic essence becomes, devoid of anchors, the more space in the central domain his chaotic advanced primordial aura starts to take up. Fiery blades and icy thin cleavers slice through the air, but we do not get as lucky as the 2 shots from earlier every time. With dagger in hand, Marcellus is able to block one of my incoming waves of fire, only receiving burns on one side of his body. Without having to move daggers around the dome with his mind, he is nimble enough to give in to his instincts and dodge Maria's strikes completely. When we try to get in close enough to do some serious damage, the waves of chaotic aura start to hit us. Layers of pure white crystals crack and fall off Maria's angelic body, and she has to retreat for it to grow back every time she gets in range to strike. I'm hit by dense waves of aura too, and it disintegrates hundreds of thousands of the smaller primordial swords making up my crimson shadow. Some of the stronger waves even break through this and touch my origin body. It is an extremely strange sensation. This primordial aura is like an entity of its own, not connected to the demonic essence making up its physical body. It has a single directive of its own, to destroy anything that is solidified in order, that is connected to the system. It spreads out through my black and red metallic primordial aura with orange chaotic veins, and starts to disintegrate my aura from the inside, causing it to bubble and disappear into a void outside of my perception. I'm fast enough to fly backward, and there is nowhere near enough aura that has invaded my real body to truly harm me. The primordial flames and corruption incinerate and devour its raw energy before it can seep in anywhere near my cores. The author's content has been appropriated. Report any instances of this story on Amazon. Marcellus continues to laugh like nothing has happened, and his arm and leg start to slowly grow back. The strangeness of his energy does make attacking him at close range more of a risk, but after getting hit with his aura, I know roughly how much I can take. A few mental pings back and forth with Maria, and I comprehend her limits too. We both fly back in and start swinging full-powered attacks his way. Fire and ice slice and burn through the oscillating ball of chaotic aura in the sky, and even start cornering him enough to land more hits. A deep red gash in his stomach, a blue line in his back, then 2 consecutive waves of fire to his head, breaking off his untouched horn. It only worked because Maria sent enough decoy slashes to force his instincts into dodging into my attacks. We don't come out of it unscathed either. My whole right side gets melted through a dozen times, and I have to recover by flying to the opposite side of the dome before the chaos seeps too deep. The primordial fire burning through my body is much faster at healing than the demon, and Maria's new technique allows her to get rid of damaged ice into the atmosphere, and pull from her bottomless cores to summon more and more, growing outward with infinite layers, pushing the old ice that was deep inside before up to the surface. Both of us use my foresight skill to watch the outcome of every possible scenario over and over. Marcellus always finds a way out. No matter how close we get, the most we can land are non-fatal hits. Over and over, red and blue slashes show up all over his body. He even manages to grow his hand back enough to grab his second dagger and play a total defensive role. Even though every time we land a hit, he loses a massive amount of demonic essence forever, and it's digested by my corruption. A consistent supply continues to pour out of his demon's core. He does not seem to care one bit. If anything, his mood only grows happier the longer the battle goes on. You two are quite strong opponents. I would respect you, and consider you true anomalies of your era if you did not carry the stolen glyphs of the Creator. How can you call yourselves the victors of this system if you use power that was honed outside of it? He finally yells. His eyes stare into us, then upward at the hot, blinking white dome. This moment is enough to break his defensive rhythm, and I land a devastating attack right in the center of his chest. Maria lands one at the same time right between his eyes, breaking his head in two. An explosion of fire and ice seems to completely overwhelm the bubble of chaos in the sky. However, his eyes were so full of confidence as he watched these attacks hit. The only instinct I feel is one to run. Maria feels it too, even though we just landed killing blows. The two of us retreat to the back edge of the dome while watching my waves of fire break through both his demon core and divine core, shattering them both in half. At the same time, the last flickers of Imperial demons in every zone of the upper realm and solar system in the lower realm are snuffed out. There are only 3 soul ties remaining coming from that shattering demon's core. One leads to his daggers, another leads to the black artifact in his chest, and a third leads upward, somewhere I cannot perceive no matter how deep I look. Yet, instead of system notifications blaring in my inner ear, I watch the demon's core erupt outward and release every last drop of demonic essence into the air. It's all tied together with the tight purple strands of his fully saturated purple core. Every wound littering his body becomes supersaturated in this deep purple liquid, and the orange chaotic aura sticks to the outer layers of this liquid demon like strange glowing veins. It is a gruesome sight, and the waves of high royal vibrations within his chaotic aura that still give me readings of his emotions finally go haywire. Nothing about this demon makes sense anymore. Even my system scans don't fully know what to make of his dark purple body. It glitches and gives off readings of a living system user from some angles, and a dead artifact that I can pick up as loot from others. He lets out a screech that makes the entire dome shake, and even the silver threads holding it together quiver. Now it is all over. I cannot turn back. You will perish with me, but I will never be constrained by death. As long as the great cycle is stopped, I will be eternal with it. All of the dense black demonic essence that broke out from his royal demon's core fills this demon's entire true body. His divine core tethers it all together, and it seems like both of these vital cores are on the verge of dispersing, but are held together by pure willpower alone. The force of gravity at the center of his being is so unfathomably strong that the contents of his cores are taking a new shape and escaping death. Every time he moves, I see more strange reflections of his demon core and horns as loot drops, but in others he is still a fully functional and deadly demon over level 3 million. I'm witnessing the system glitch and show incorrect data before my eyes. This time, it is not the fault of my own lack of perception, but of the construct we're standing in being unable to make sense of what's inside it. Do you think I've only sat around and waited for this day to come? No. I've been preparing to conquer the system myself. The Overseer has his plan, and I have mine. They both include you never making it out of the membrane. Orange aura spreads onto his dark demonic form, but there are tendrils of dark essence that seep outward too, flooding into the cores of his daggers. The chipped chaotic blades start to fill with a pressure laced with glitching system commands and an evil dark pressure. The desire pouring out of this darkness is very potent and clear. It wishes for the galaxy to be rid of life, and its existence to be the only remaining power. The beautiful aura that once made these knives feel as though they controlled fate becomes less and less bright. The dampening effects of the all-consuming demonic darkness start to saturate the opal-like glyphs that remain in the blade. It turns them into purple weapons, and the missing chunks start to grow back and fill the absence of space with physical shadows. He swings them across his body, and instantly, dark purple crescents of energy begin flying throughout the domain. They have trails of orange chaotic aura rippling off them, but the core of these attacks is made from pure demonic essence. I raise my sword to block, and many layers of circular crimson defensive arrays form out of millions of miniature blades to try and stop or slow these attacks before they even get close. It works, devouring large amounts of the demonic essence on impact, but there are strands that glitch their way through. In the moments where this essence is not connected to the system, it rides the waves of chaotic aura and phases right through my arrays. I can dodge their trajectory and make sure none of this strange matter touches my vitals, but it's impossible to avoid all of it. It's like purple acid spatters all over my origin body and tries to seep into my soul to erode it and disconnect with the system just like him. I try to activate skills in order to gain an edge, but everything inherently combat-related becomes obsolete, as the activation times are far too slow. Any physical movements and manipulation of pure advanced primordial aura are far more powerful. I can only rely on passive skills, or large-scale arrays that can mimic skills by using millions of glyphs at a time. Stolen from Royal Road, this story should be reported if encountered on Amazon. The only way to block the brunt of these high-speed and high-density demonic attacks is with enormous brute-force defensive arrays myself. The imagery of giant ice mirrors shattering and blocking demonic crescents on the other side of the dome is clear to see. Maria is pushed back on the defensive just like me. You know it's all an illusion, don't you? You have been taught that demonic energy is a force that must be defeated. Haven't you? That dragon must have fed the two of you with so many lies to make it this far. Where do you think mana came from? Where do you think all of the dense, built-up ether in this galaxy came from? Do you think it was all just placed here by chance? Do you think the system is just a natural occurrence, that all life can just gather energy and become gods? Marcellus yells question after question at us. Every time he does, he brings up points of logic that, even with all of the understandings from over 120 billion worlds, I still do not truly know. My arms, legs, chest, and even face become covered in purple spots as the acid rain continues to fall. Hundreds of blocks of these long-range demonic crescents build up, and the feeling of static begins to form all over the outside of my body. Just from the function of my corruption's devouring properties, and the inherent nature of my absorption skill that is at the base of all my abilities, I can tell something is shifting. Every bit of this demon's chaos and demonic essence that I assimilate, its power becomes mine. Marcellus Imperial is losing demonic essence, and has to constantly resummon his advanced chaotic aura. However, the will of demons that resides in my corruption and corresponding black glyphs begins to bend. Some of the glitching essence that registers as the body of a fallen demon pours into my own core like any one of my past kills. Even his primordial aura, his high royal vibrations, the thick strands of purple divine threads, fragments of them all start pouring into me. The bright white blinking light around the dome we're fighting in starts to become so fast and violent that it almost seems like a constant stream of light. For those outside it without my level of perception, it probably does look like nothing more than a blinding white glow. This same flashing emerges from the demon's chest. The one remaining core's brightness cannot be held back, and through the deep purple, a white orb can vaguely be sensed. I still do not understand how Marcellus is possibly still alive, but I do know he's living to protect that artifact, so my eyes do not leave it. Anytime I have any momentum left over after dodging or blocking, I send fiery waves of advanced primordial aura right back into the chaos, aiming for his chest. Maria does the same, but he does not even try to dodge anymore. When our long-range attacks hit, they only light up in red and blue slashes on his liquid demonic essence body. It destroys massive amounts of his energy, but he does not care at all. Not reacting and sending long-range attacks back to keep us occupied is more efficient. Frustration starts to build up, as there are no clear paths to success in front of me. It even seems as though my enemy cannot even die. Trillions of ongoing background primordial-grade foresight scans are testing every possible scenario, from both my point of view and Maria's, but every one of them comes back with the best option being to stay back and fight at a safe range. Marcellus is more than happy to sacrifice himself and destroy his whole body the instant we get too close. I grit my teeth, and my crimson blade grows hotter with its own rage as bloodlust boils deep within its core. After a long nap, it's hardly even stretched awake, and it cannot properly reap the rewards of a true fight. The tension of the aura in my hands grows, and the strange, uneasy pressure of assimilating my enemy's will and chaotic nature while fighting him increases as well. All of a sudden, there is an internal breaking point. I'm hit by a large crescent of dark aura. It is no different than many of the other attacks I've had to block, but over 10% of the entire attack glitches through all of my defenses in a giant chaotic chunk. Most of the time large pieces like this will break apart and be stopped by different layers of my arrays, but this one stays solid all the way through. It's an outcome my foresight skill never predicted. It doesn't stop glitching until it slams into my side and bursts into a chaotic and demonic assault. I'm sent flying backward, and an extreme surge of pain flows through my entire system as parts of it erode through my origin body and touch my soul. Yet, in the same moment, the same essence starts pouring memories of Marcellus Imperial's life in the lower realm into my mind. A glitching veil of memories covers half of my vision. I'm still completely conscious of the outside, able to move, and channel primordial fire into my wounds to heal myself. However, half of my mind is being invaded with memories from the lower realm in the patterns that only happen when I kill a target, and my true core's ability, morphed by absorption, can devour their memories tied to their soul. The overwhelming warmth and pure energy of the galaxy full of dense, high-quality ether is the first thing I see. It's even more overwhelming than the visions I gained from the Outer Guards and First Bloods. They may have been draining pockets of celestial energy and ether leftover, attracted to stars. But what I'm seeing now makes it feel like the lower realm has nearly as much energy density as the primordial garden. It's incredible. Instead of energy being trapped within solar system orbits, there are thick strands of bright white light that tether the entire galaxy together. They are filled with countless high-quality ether commands, and I recognize almost every single one of the glyphs. It's entirely made up of the originator's language, the one commonly found on the many artifacts on the human world I came from, a small select few origin worlds, and some of the carvings within the ravine. However, the megastructures that look like highways flash brightly as countless lifeforms flow through them, traveling to and from destinations all over the lower realm. These are memories from billions of years ago. It's hard to tell if they are so scattered and hard to see because Marcellus has forgotten these parts of his life from long ago, or if it has to do with the nature of their transfer. A few extreme moments in time pass, mostly made of battles between Marcellus and other strong fighters of the time. They look like they were performed in some kind of safe environment, an arena of sorts, made of an extremely massive ether command structure. A high percent of the races I watch him duel are no longer alive in the current state of the lower realm. A few have some surviving members in the outer settlements. Almost every one of them wielded primordial aura of their own back in this era, and many of the other races did not fear or look down on demons like they do today. Marcellus was challenged as an equal in most of these duels. Yet, feeling his emotions through his own memories and point of view, this demon hated every one of them. He hated the trust everyone put in the pathways that connected the galaxy. He hated that the weaker races were allowed to use up resources even when it would have been more efficient for the other anomalies of the time period to be nurtured instead. In the back of his mind, there is a plan brewing, and a constant set of orders being followed out from someone. The only voice of authority he will truly ever follow. Just as I try to dig deep and follow this path of thought deeper into his memories, they crackle and disappear from half my vision. At the same time, I thrust myself upward to block another one of his incoming demonic crescents of darkness. The demon yells, "No matter what you try, it is futile. You are still trying to defeat me within the bounds of the system. With such a small perspective, I will always win. This is what was meant to happen all along. Yes, I just needed the extra push, the final anomalies of this system to allow me to transcend." A horrific shockwave echoes through the dome as I block his next wave of demonic essence and destroy millions of copied blades of crimson fire. His words sound like the raves of a mad lunatic. They are no different than many of the past demons I've pushed to the edge of sanity in their battles. However, when I see the proof of what this demon is doing before my eyes, his words really are not lies. Marcellus has fully embraced chaos and let his mind, body, and soul be taken over by his advanced primordial aura. Upon his death, his will did not waver, and he became too strong for the system to register the kill. If I let him win, his power will only grow, and what he's saying will actually come true. I grit my teeth, watching Maria block a demonic slash across the dome, and when she's out of immediate danger, I ping her the memories I just witnessed. Our flight around the massive, growing aura of chaotic energy does not slow down at all. Dozens of blocked attacks go by one. I managed to throw 2 massive fiery attacks at the demon's core during this time too. It burns away noticeable amounts of demonic essence, but I can tell that at this rate, my current methods aren't going to be enough. He still has too much demonic essence left, protecting that artifact in his chest. We need to get closer. It's time to take some risks before it's too late. I yell through my link with Maria and send a wave of fire at the demon. It is at the detriment of one of his slashes breaking through my Crimson Sword shadow armor and obliterating a portion of my origin body. However, the flashing white light in his chest is continuing to grow faster. In a matter of seconds, it's going to be pulsing so fast that I don't even know if I'll be able to perceive it any longer. As I'm sent flying backward from the injury, so is Marcellus, as my attack was unexpected. It allows for Maria to land 2 solid hits of her own, one that cuts just as deep as my surprise hit near his core, and another that schemes his leg and chops off a foot, shattering it to ice. The clawed foot grows back almost instantly, but the murderous screech that comes out when he realizes how close we got to touching the artifact in his chest is invigorating. I allow Maria to keep him busy for a moment while I pour primordial fire into the wound in my side and up my neck, but the moment it floods in, I feel the demonic aura glitching again. More memories start to pour in, and in the back of my mind, I watch over 1 million level-up notifications pour in. I try to count them quickly, but the number keeps changing. It moves up and down by hundreds of thousands. Even the stats in my status fluctuate as they try to register if I have completed a kill or not. I push the strange status screens out of my mind and let my attention focus on the memories while I'm still attached to them. Marcellus is somewhere else in the galaxy. Usually, in these past memories, I can roughly tell where the holder is based on the stars nearby and in relation to other memories of the time period, or mirror them to my real-time spectate feeds in the lower realm. Yet, this one is different. It's as though he's standing right in the center of the galaxy, far past the origin worlds, in an area of space that no one has ever mapped out for me. In my mind, there was nothing but a blank mystery region here, what many referred to as the source. Yet now I'm seeing Marcellus stare down at an unfathomably large white orb. At some angles, it looks like a mirror showing the demon staring right back. At other angles, it looks rainbow and glossy, and at some, it completely disappears like a black hole of nothingness. The longer he looks at it, the more strange it becomes. There are no glyphs or geometrical structures that hold it together. It just exists here. Countless invisible soul ties pour off of it and stretch out in all directions into the galaxy. I can't tell if it's made of ether, or if it is some kind of illusion made by advanced primordial aura, or a giant pool of source resin. Could very well be all three. It gives off no energy readings, so it is impossible to tell. I stare into the void of the source with Marcellus and allow the memory to play in real time. My concentration is only broken once I see someone else appear in the reflection of the source behind Marcellus' back. It is another demon, and he is with a dragon. The same dragon that is soul-bound to me, and linked to the seal right above the dome of the central domain. Ember appears in the memories of the past again, this time, bonded to a demon with a stature I recognize. It is the same one that showed up in the demonic legacy memories. The one who found the creator's legacy tomb and built his own rendition for an entire race from scratch. It is the demon that, ever since we arrived in the green zone of the upper realm, Ember has been hiding his presence from. The demon Marcellus continues referring to as the Overseer. Glitching images of this demon's silhouette staring down at the source beside Marcellus pour into my mind. Many are of him waving his hands and talking down to him like he is a teacher. I can make out some of their words as he describes a hierarchy of demons and a way to steal all of the energy from this system and make it their own. Even now, as I try to look at this demon's face, it is covered in silver glyphs and empty space, making even my subconscious mind avoid it inside the memories. I have to use a large amount of concentration just to make out his words. Even these threaten to slip away from me. A plan to infiltrate what they refer to as the originator's domain, now known as the upper realm, is laid out before my eyes. The formation of the 5 great families, and the long, drawn-out wait to weaken the generations of many mana races to come while slowly siphoning energy from the galaxy makes more and more sense the longer I listen. And when we have succeeded, promoting me to the newest supreme, you may claim this paradise all for yourself. This is how it will be done. The overseer waves his hand, and everything within Marcellus' vision blurs. The source disappears, and they both reappear on the far side of the galaxy. It is like space warped and bent, connecting the two places and spitting them out on the other side. A dark black, planet-sized sphere with glyphs engraved all over it now floats below them in the void of space. My memories of the past begin to glitch and stop progressing again. The split vision of the battlefield fades, and I can go back to blocking and countering Marcellus again. However, in the back of my mind, the flickering level-up notifications remain. On and off, new boosts of power flow into me as the system continues to try and register a kill but fails to fully assimilate it. I dive right back in even though there is a dark black and purple gash on my side that is not yet healed. I only expose my other side while diving in to land another wave of fire. Maria dives in on the opposite side and puts herself at a large risk too. But the flashing artifact is becoming so bright that every flash begins sending a shockwave of hot, refined ether through the air. It's even more refined than the ether in my own glyphs, like it has reached the peak of what high-quality ether can become. I feel a slight static charge run through my primordial aura when it reacts to these strange pulses. Find this and other great novels on the author's preferred platform. Support original creators. The knowledge I just gained from an assortment of memories is pinged into Maria's mind, and we digest them together while landing a massive X-shaped blue and red slash on the demon's chest and back. It obliterates a large chunk of its demonic essence, exploding into fire and ice. For a moment, even the chaotic aura in the air is vaporized. I can see the core peeking out of its chest. It's the closest we've got, but we don't have enough power or time to break through before getting hit by his close-range counter. Maria is hit point-blank, but she has layers of mirror-like ice ready. She is at full strength and can handle the blow. Massive fragments of source resin and pure blue icy advanced primordial aura explode as she's blown backward. Tens of millions more pseudo-soul energy cores are summoned in order to grow back more layers of ice armor and disperse the blast. All of the glyphs and infused high-quality ether deep inside this essence are devoured by sparkling particles of resin, while raw purple matter is ejected into the air. My own primordial aura latches onto it, and it is funneled into my corruption. However, my active mind is more focused on my only uninjured side getting hit by another attack. It tears through every layer of crimson defenses with even more ease. I got up even closer this time to try and land a killing blow, but it's backfired. The demon used up almost half of its remaining demonic essence to shield its core and throw a counter. It was either desperate to stop me, or so confident that its artifact will finish the seal before I can attack again, that it's lost all care for its energy usage. From what I can feel, I think it is a little of both. It makes the impact with this clash multiple times stronger than the last. As the flickering mass of dark demonic essence crashes against the outside of my soul again and again, my consciousness vibrates like a bell, and the visions of memories pour back into my mind. The timeline in these new memories is scattered. Some show Marcellus traveling in the lower realm and plotting to take over as many origin worlds as he can while still using the high-quality ether highways to get around. Others are far closer to the present day, some of which I've already seen from the First Bloods and Outer Guard's point of view. There are visions of the creation of the strange clouded array that protects the demonic realm from discovery, and the planting and creation of the thrones. Even the Imperial army of mindless drones and leftover Outer Guards, I watch them being placed all throughout the dying areas of space in the galaxy as the ether is siphoned upward and out of the lower realm. Yet, these memories become covered in glitches, and even more hard to fit together. The final one I see is a very strange scene. I can't tell where on the timeline it is, but I think it's happening here in the Purple Zone. Through Marcellus' old eyes, I see him follow a soul tie upward through the center of this primordial tree stump. It gives off the same sensation as moving upward to a new zone, but at the same time the outside of his body becomes covered in a silver and advanced primordial aura veil. Wherever he's gone, it's impossible to see or feel anything. There are only vague black and white shadows, and all of the movement around is blurred. I can only see two silhouettes fighting in the air, and for a frame of time, the memories glitch and trigger a moment of perfect clarity. I can see a silver cord demon covered in the original demonic legacy glyphs, and he is fighting against a crimson-eyed dragon that sprays hot white flames down on him. Yet, the dragon's fire does not attack this demon's cores, or glyphs, or even advanced primordial aura. It burns the invisible bond connecting their souls. The memories glitch again, and all I can see are shadows and blurred silhouettes through Marcellus' memories. There is an enormous blast of energy, and this purple cord demon is thrust out of the space by an unknown force. I can feel confusion, fear, and anger pouring from Marcellus, and realize this is long ago, before he ever met Ember for himself. Yet one thing does not add up. If those flames succeeded in what they were meant to do, there should not be an overseer any longer. When the memories glitch away, and I see Marcellus in full view again, the first thing I look at is the strong soul bond he still holds onto. It tethers to the space above this zone, where the memories I just witnessed showed. You still fight me like lower races were not all doomed the moment the demons took control of the upper realm. You all even used the name we've changed it to in order to suppress the imagination of the new eras. Many would dig too deep if they knew it as its true name, the originator's domain. Marcellus yells, launching at me as almost my entire origin body is consumed in his demonic essence. It makes my limbs all filled with static and evaporates large amounts of my advanced primordial aura. It is an infinitely renewable energy source. As long as I'm conscious and my will is unbroken, it will only be summoned back stronger. The glyphs it starts to seep into, on the other hand, these vibrate, and sharp pain surges through my soul as his glitching demonic essence tries to devour them too. I let out a yell while flying backward as fast as I can. The further away I get, the weaker his essence becomes, but it also leaves less room for a quick counter. A new wave of advanced primordial aura floods out from my soul, paired with spinning red, white, and black glyphs that move all over the outside of my body. Millions of crimson explosions occur all over me, as copies of my soul sword are constantly summoned and sacrificed to disperse the energy. The true blade itself, on the other hand, is completely unharmed. It has a sharp blood-red pressure that comes out of its core and concentrates around the crimson eye at the base of the sword. The same amount of demonic essence attacked my origin body as it did my sword, but it slid off the blade like a wet balloon. Any dark demonic essence that tried to attack it directly melted on impact. The glitching substance just went haywire and destroyed itself while being repelled. It pulls on my soul and uses my high-quality ether stores, as well as the pressure from my advanced primordial aura. So, as my energy dims, it does too. Yet, there is a small amount of lag. It's like it's reacting, not so much a perfect link. I can feel there is a separate living entity in my hands, and it gives off the aura of the sword I've fought many battles with before, but there is something very different about it right now, and I do not have enough mental space to figure out what or why. Another long-range wave of demonic essence comes my way, but it's far weaker than the last few. At this distance, I'm able to summon enough defensive arrays to block and absorb it entirely before it even hits my body. An explosion of rainbow ice on the other side of the domain hits my senses next, as Maria easily blocks the next strike too. In the center of my vision, however, the orange-blooming advanced primordial aura grows far stronger than the bubble we just obliterated, and the pulsing white light in his chest blinks so fast it feels like it will become nothing but pure white heat at any moment. Hundreds of black and purple slashes of energy come bursting out from the demon's blades to keep us back. They get faster but also weaker. Even the demonic essence that holds his physical body together looks as though it's getting thinner. Dense strands of purple divine threads start to show themselves holding up the frame, as the physical liquid is sent at us with no more regard for the artifact's safety afterward. This is it. He's using everything he has to hold us back. I hear from Maria, pinging into my mind, coming to the same conclusion as me. Yes, no matter what, we need to finish him now. Both of us dart back into the chaos. This time, not even clearing a path, but plunging into the chaotic aura and letting our own natural auras flow out of our origin bodies as the buffers. They fight for dominance and devour each other. My advanced primordial aura pushes out at the same rate as it's destroyed, but this is not my main concern. It is the over 100 demonic crescents of essence coming at me from all sides. Marcellus' yell echoes with them. The seal is finally going to be complete. All remaining life within the system will never have a chance to escape. Massive arrays form all over me from every angle. They shine with a red metallic glow, and every time they're struck by another crescent, black glyphs on their insides are deployed to devour the rest of the weakened essence destroyed in the blast. Yet, the closer I get, the more of these arrays I have to summon. My shadow of crimson mist shrinks and shrinks until the point where I have to start manually summoning glyphs and not rely on the automatic summons of my copied soul swords. They attack from all angles and get stronger the closer to the demon's real body I get. It is pulling away from the amount of energy I can build up in a single attack in my sword. The waves of white heat are starting to look like a flicker. I can hardly tell when the artifact is not pulsing. I know I will not have another chance at attacking it. So, the defensive arrays around many of my less important body parts become weaker than the rest. The outer portions of my origin body begin to be struck by waves of demonic essence. The first doesn't only feel like the strange static I've gotten used to, but the next 100 start to feel like poisonous, acidic hail tearing holes in my body and melting down into my soul. Every single one of them glitches with different rhythms, and bursts of strong memories force their way into my consciousness. Massive abstract visuals pour into my mind. I can see a fully zoomed-out version of the entire galaxy. It overlays perfectly with the visual of the current-day galaxy that I can feel through my rising Emperor's domain. The difference is, the old galaxy from billions of years ago still has the many highways of dense high-quality ether streaming out from the source and throughout the many thriving civilizations. It also tears a hole upward through space. This was impossible to see in the memory where Marcellus was still a younger demon, but now it all looks so clear. It is like an invisible funnel that attaches the lower realm up to a different plane of existence. It only appears to be a black void, like a stretched layer of strange energy over the top of the galaxy. I cannot see what is inside it. Millions of glitching memories patch themselves together to create a time-lapse of a small portion of the structure coming to see light. As more and more of the highways in the lower realm are drained, and the pockets of energy are siphoned out, up into this funnel and through other smaller tiers into space, a layered construct is created. I watch each zone of the upper realm being created within the bottom layer of this enormous black galaxy-sized construct. Silver anchors are placed in each zone, and family heads are placed to each of them as the eras go on, and life in the origin plane becomes weaker and weaker. I'm hit with another wave of stronger demonic crescents, and these memories are jolted away. I see the outside layers of Maria's bright crystalline origin body being broken apart with the same intensity of attacks that I am. We both swing our red and blue blades one more time. A half-demon and glimmering angel come bursting forward through the bubble of chaos and through the barrage of demonic essence slashes, simultaneously aiming to strike the bright white orb in the center of what's left of Marcellus' body. Sharp pressure showers down on the outside of my soul from all sides. I can feel that almost all of my advanced primordial aura has been suppressed again. The density of the chaotic aura becomes greater, and the weight of the demonic essence increases as well. Layers of the glyphs around the outside of my soul are being stained purple, and the glitching sensation is beginning to course through my entire being. It feels less like a separate entity I'm trying to suppress, and more like my own conscious thought as my connection to the system becomes intertwined. Even without being hit, the system constantly tries to update and register the kill. Every bit of essence I absorb, the final updated LV. 2,278,994 glows at the top of my status. Yet, it ticks down below 2 million at times and everything becomes fuzzy. Even my list of skills, buffs, and stats that were never related to this kill. My entire system jitters, and the wills within my primordial corruption morph to be far more like this Marcellus Imperial. He is proud, strong, and has an understanding of the system that surpasses mine. Despite his unstable, chaotic nature, The baseline knowledge is assimilating as my will conquers his within the sea of black glyphs and millions of other demons' essence. As the quantity of demonic essence attacks becomes too much for me to block any longer, they all just collide with the outside of my soul. One after another like rain. They leave cracks throughout the sacred body deep within my origin body, and almost every single glyph on the surface becomes infested with demonic essence. Yet, the numb static sensation becomes natural and soothing. The only active mental and physical energy I have left I use to protect my cores, and to infuse my blade with as much power as it can hold. I've entered a flow state surpassing that of my primordial resonance buff. It is complete and total tunnel vision. In doing so, the static becomes a background buzz that fades away, and so does the glitching system text. Without my active mind focusing and trying to dissect what it means, the glitches completely stop. Or at least from my perspective, they no longer exist. I'm able to assimilate the strange chaotic anti-system energy like it is normal, no more difficult than mana or ether. On the other side of the demon, Maria's mind syncs with mine, and the same outcome occurs. Instead of the glitching crescents of demonic essence breaking open her angelic ice body, they start to phase right through. She does not set up any barriers to protect her stacked pseudocores. Instead, she allows the demonic essence to flow right into the black hole in her chest. All of its infused advanced primordial aura is drained out. All of the high-quality ether imbued is absorbed by her source resin, and the leftover dark matter is ejected outward from her back between her wings. When she does not exert any mental pressure to observe the glitching, it's completely destroyed and negated too. There is no need to wait or fight the strange phenomena. Marcellus yells when he sees the last flurry of attacks hit both of us at point-blank range, but seep into us rather than tear us to shreds. No, that's impossible. This is not a gift of the Creator's legacy. It cannot function outside the bounds of the system like I can. Where did you learn this? This can't be. He tries to send more attacks our way from his daggers, but all that comes out are waves of gravity strengthened by chaotic aura. It is stained purple by the density of divine threads in the strike, but there is no physical matter left. These waves of energy flow right through me like a warm breeze. I don't even notice them. The only thing I concentrate on is my flaming sword colliding with a bright white orb in Marcellus' chest. The waves of heat coming off this artifact are extremely intense, but at the same time invigorating. It is like pure, refined, high-quality ether residue. Being in its presence every time it blinks gives off mist that flows through my energy pathways and into my own pools. Veins of pure white ether travel through my infected purple and black soul's outer layers, and rivers of ether pour into my own core. I can feel all of Marcellus' chaotic aura compressing inward and attacking me. He even tries to stab me with one of his daggers repeatedly, but it does no damage. My physical body has become far stronger than him. The blade and this aura just bounce off my back. I can feel the anger and horror in his high royal vibrations, not only from the aura he clings onto, but also from the majority of his will that is now suppressed and all mine to control deep within my primordial corruption. Many of these black glyphs pour into my blade. Some of them are still covered in demonic essence that is actively being converted. I use his own devoured will to attack his last remaining core. A dark crack appears at the impact point of that flashing white orb, and millions of soul sword copies trigger explosions and complex strength and sharpness arrays to push the blade forward with more pressure. The instant there is a gap of resistance, my metallic advanced primordial aura enhanced by a crimson aura of mist seeps inside. From the backside of this demon, Maria's diamond blade collides with the orb as well. Her efficiency at draining the ambient high-quality ether in the air into her soul is even better than mine. When the source resin in her blade feels the ether density of the artifact it's touched, it uses a completely opposite technique than mine. Instead of pushing harder, it sucks the energy out from the thin contact point her sword has made. The structural integrity of the thin line she pushes on weakens, and with the same amount of pressure, she does more and more damage with every passing moment. The core gives way on her end too, shattering open, and sparkling ice floods in. The blinking white light hits its apex, and I cannot even perceive the time between flashes. There is an absurd release of high-quality ether into the central domain, but immediately afterward the entire core explodes into mist from the pressure of two blades. A thunderous shockwave and pressure shift explodes through the dome again as my blade clashes against Maria's in the center, creating a perfect X. The artifact has been obliterated, but it's impossible to tell if we've succeeded in time. All I see is white. All of the perfectly carved glyphs on the outer layer of this white orb break into unrecognizable pieces, exploding with the pure high-quality ether that pours out of its insides. The wave of hot light is extremely dense, but the energy is not tethered to any killing intent or direct purpose. If it were, the shockwave would be devastating. But for Maria and myself, it's like being plunged into a bath of pure energy, denser and more pure than we've ever felt before. The small waves of white light we absorbed while diving in were already extremely invigorating. But now as we feel the source, it's clear that tiny amount of refined high-quality ether didn't even scratch the surface of what's being released beneath. It's like an entire zone's worth of ether that should be on a level above the purple zone is being ejected all at once. Not only is the atmosphere around me covered in a blinding white light, but for a moment in time my senses are all blinded by an overwhelming ethereal white-hot bliss. Simultaneously, a few very strange things happen. Right before our blades sliced this orb in two, it shined outward with a final pulse of white light. The barrier of the dome we're surrounded by mimicked this pulse, and it acted as an amplifier to vibrate downward through every zone in the upper and lower realm. All of the prior blinking waves of hot white energy were synced up and visible through the tiers in space between zones. It was especially visible for Abby and Seraphel, as their reach and perception right now touches two full zones. The massive wide open holes in space that link the cyan zone to the dark blue zone all shine bright white during this final pulse. They all become connected, stretching outward and activating countless high-quality ether glyphs that have laid dormant in the upper realm since it was created at the bottom of the originator's domain. There are large cracks in the green zone, where the impact craters of the Imperial Outer Guards were killed. Many of them are healing back up as Ava, Ari, Raven, and many of the elites absorb the energy they've released. Not only the cracks in space, but the silver reactors in the center of every single zone, they all burst outward with a hot white light from within. In this instance, a very familiar phenomenon runs through their systems. It is a disconnection from the rising Emperor. This is because for a moment in time, the purple zone was sealed off from the rest of reality below. The only system users with enough mental capacity to even notice what has happened are the generals. Even to them, it feels like nothing more than a momentary glitch in the system, like their senses are playing tricks on them. However, the aftermath of this small event is not small. It becomes clear it was certainly no manifestation of their imagination. The complex glyphs that spin into place and lock the lower realm and first three zones of the upper realm in a bubble all click perfectly into place. Energy rushes in from pockets in space where there was no sign of spatial tiers or gravity manipulation. This story has been unlawfully obtained without the author's consent. Report any appearances on Amazon. If one were to look at the entire galaxy from the outside, extremely massive arrays spin around it, pouring energy in place to set the seal. Yet, these enormous pools of energy do not all make it to where they were meant to go. The mechanical trigger that acted as an anchor, almost like a brain for the seal, was just destroyed by two blades of fire and ice. If it were destroyed any later, the seal would have already been set in place. If it were destroyed any earlier, all of these pockets of energy would still be trapped away behind veils of dark black advanced primordial aura around the outside of the originator's domain. A chain reaction of over 500 sextillion complex arrays all shatter at once. The first to go are those in the purple zone of the upper realm. The barrier holding the central domain together breaks into pure white mist, and the silver threads holding it together snap and explode from the pressure. The second grouping of glyphs that shatter is the invisible defensive array below the entire primordial forest. It looks very similar to the prison in the ravine of the Cyan Zone, but made with far more care and attention, meant to be the most sturdy structure that held together the entire seal. Not only does white ether pour out from the explosion in the center of the purple zone, but it erupts upward from the ground everywhere. For over a quintillion kilometers in all directions, waves of pure white light burst out from the ground. It looks like there are earthquakes tearing up the primordial garden, but the hot white pressure that comes out is not harmful at all. It bathes every single ancient race in the outer settlements with far more high-quality ether density than they have ever felt before. This release also makes the divide between the purple and blue zones far less dense. Some of the released energy even breaks downward, seeping out of the small cracks that the growing branches and leaves of Abby's primordial tree are starting to make. The clouds of pristine white energy flowing into the manifestations only make it grow faster. From the explosive release in the cracks between the cyan and blue zones, this is where far more pure high-quality ether is absorbed. There is already a wide open tear in the zone, so many of the shattered glyphs do not need to break through themselves. They just follow the constant flow of ether, in the path of least resistance, straight into the tree's growing trunk. Every single glyph remaining in the ravine's defensive array shatters into dust on the spot as well, and it fills the many ancient pathways and pedestal tombs with hot white light. This all flows into the tree's roots, and it supercharges it enough to tear downward and break into the green zone at the same exact time that this layer of glyphs releases their power too. There are already micro-tears all over the sky from the battle that was just won. It looks like there are bright white rays of sunlight pouring down into the green zone. Simultaneously, the fortress releases many of its own glyphs that are linked to the seal, and it pulses outward, releasing a shockwave of its own. However, within this wave of energy, there is something different that is not in all of the others. Bright shimmering silver glyphs pour out within it, all coming from a small box deep within its core, left behind by Ember when he was last in the green zone. All throughout the lower realm, there are also tiers in space that open up and release waves of high-quality ether into pockets of the void that have not felt this much energy for billions of years. It does not distribute evenly at all. Most of the ether breaks out in places with the highest current divine energy densities. Heavy yellow and white stars put the most pressure on their areas of space, so large clouds of ether pour out into these star systems. There is one portion of space that is the most vulnerable of all, and that is where the anchor of the lower realm rests. It is the planet-sized artifact that was once the demon's home world. When the chain reaction finally hits it, the planet is already glowing bright white. A crack forms right down its center as every glyph carved into its sides makes horrific tears in space. There are many that break upward, and this is where the pools of excess high-quality ether now pour out of. However, some of the tears in space start to crack downward as well. Images of all these bursts of ether flowing into the lower zones simultaneously hit my consciousness, but an angry yell pounding in my mind catches my attention. What have you done? How is this possible? Marcellus' voice still echoes in my mind. All of his demonic essence is being digested deep below my origin body's advanced primordial aura, saturating into the inner glyphs of my sacred body. The high royal vibrations and all energy associated with the system have already been devoured and pulled into my being. Even the dense strands of purple divine threads that were still holding the white orb in place, upon its destruction, are blasted outward, and both Maria and I pull this power into our own astral forms. The absurd amount of high-quality ether pouring into my glyphs, and also the ether pool at the base of my soul, did momentarily make me lose touch with reality for an instant. However, now that my senses have returned, they are heightened by hundreds of times. Every dense river of white ether that flows into me expands my senses further. Just a handful of this refined energy is more than the entirety of the Purple Zone's past stores. My eyes and intuition become so strong that I can even begin to decode and perceive energy waves that have happened in the past. It is easy to watch the flow of the high-quality ether in the air and track every single particle, then predict where they all came from moments ago. It is like an intuition-fueled reverse version of my foresight skill. Clear in my mind, I can now see what every single glyph used to look like before they exploded this way. It is no surprise that it had to hold so much power in order to seal the outer edges of an entire galaxy and a divine construct on top of it, but also to account for minimal ether leakage in the arrays that could last for trillions of years. I quickly understand how perfectly timed my slash with Maria's really was when I look past our blades that are still interlocked and stare deep into her soul through her eyes. All of this understanding only compounds faster once we bounce what each of us has seen off each other's minds. Yet, the angered yell of a demon somehow still reaches us. You will not ignore me. You fools. You have not only ruined my life's work, but you have severed the core of immortality that you are bonded to. It was your only hope of becoming an overseer. Marcellus laughs loudly into our minds, and slowly it becomes less angry and more filled with a maddened, hopeless tone. Actually, this is not so bad. Now that you have disrupted the natural progression of the source, the true overseer will grace the origin plane with his presence to clean up this mess. The least I can do is take you out once and for all for him. This text was taken from Royal Road. Help the author by reading the original version there. Finally, the blinding white mist of the ether blast starts to spread out, and I can see the zone around me. The entire barrier of the central domain is shattered and shredded apart. Some of the silver threads holding it together are scattered outward to the far edges of the zone, while the majority of them have been thrust upward along with a large amount of ether. The bright white flash in the sky where Ember sat is still far too bright for me to make out. The only thing I can see is a thick orange and blue aura forming back together into the outline of a royal demon. I already told you, I have defeated death. There is nothing you can do to kill me. Both Maria and I break from our interlocked blades and turn to our side, swinging again to release long-range attacks. These two crescents of blue ice and red fire are filled with extremely dense white glyphs that make it feel as though the weight of the swords themselves is hitting this demon's aura. The advanced primordial aura shadow of Marcellus is broken in two, and one half catches fire with metallic flames while the other becomes covered in sparkling ice and begins shattering. It is an extremely strange phenomenon. The refined, high-quality ether glyphs we wield have vibrations and aura pouring into them, allowing them to exist in both the physical and advanced primordial aura space at the same time. On impact, as these complex arrays activate and explode, it makes the body Marcellus believed to be invisible act just like any other physical form. He has no blades to attack us back with. The chaotic daggers carved with ancient demonic glyphs shattered to unrecognizable dust in the explosion of the white orb. The demon's eyes grow scared again. No! Is this power again? I do not understand. Mana-based lifeforms like you were never meant to ascend outside of the system. It makes no sense. The demon's legacy was different because of this fact. It was the creator's only weakness. This can't be. If this is not true, then I must survive. Through the cracks in the ice on half his aura body, and through bubbling burn marks, there are slivers of aura that still leak out. The orange-blue chaos energy reforms into a smaller demonic form far below his body that is being destroyed in the air. Marcellus tries to slip away, shrinking down in size, and follows one of the streams of high-quality ether away from the center of the primordial forest. Moments ago, it would have looked like he just disappeared in the wind. However, our senses have evolved far too much from this ether blast. Every moving stream of ether in the air nearby feels like it's a part of me. Seeing a few particles shift 100 quadrillion kilometers away when Marcellus slips away and changes directions is extremely easy to spot. Enormous white, red, and blue glyphs form behind our feet and create circular propulsion arrays that explode and leave strange dents and miniature cracks in the air behind us. The sensation of dark space behind these cracks hits my senses, but my target is where my main attention lies. Both Maria and I dive forward with our blades in front of us like spears. Massive tears in the thick high-quality ether atmosphere appear as we streak downward and stab through the retreating demon's neck and back with our swords. The orange and blue energy form is pinned to the zone's floor, right between a clearing of primordial trees. A miniature white dome of Creator's legacy glyphs pulses off of us, and our advanced primordial aura is imbued, making an energy-tight seal. Then, enough raw energy to kill this demon 1,000 times over is released through our blades. The Imperial family head is completely obliterated, and his will is truly exterminated once and for all from the purple zone of the upper realm. I only release my hold on the barrier around us once the full, unfractured raw memories from this demon finally begin to flow into my mind.